You were such a fearsome debater. We were disagreeing about some things that Nick Fuentes had said. And I was like, well, I think women should be able to vote. And he's like, well, I don't think they should if you're not getting drafted. And I didn't even know where he was going with it.
Do you not realize that makes you look stupid? Saying a horrific thing and you're like, I'm still part of these people.
That makes a lot of sense when you start to break it down. Why can women who can't be drafted vote to send men to war?
No, it doesn't. Right now what Andrew Wilson is doing is he's talking in a calm tone like a baby about removing Jillian Michaels' fundamental rights, and she has to take it like a good girl. This is her job now.
For a person like you, you'd probably define feminism as women having equal rights to men.
Is that not it, though?
Feminism is a movement towards egalitarianism by deconstructing the patriarchy. That's the key.
What you're saying.
She folded instantly. Why pretend that you believe in it then?
I don't really want gay marriage. You're trying to promote degeneracy from our view.
I can't change that. I wouldn't change it. I love my wife. I love my family.
She's a wife? She's a lesbian? Dude, she's a loser. Why do you support this guy? Is it a fetish?
I can tell that you have such a passion for, quite honestly, saving this country.
Guy that doesn't want you to have rights. Is she fucking psychotic? Whatever raw milk she's rubbing on her fucking head is fucking eating her brain alive. All right, guys. Jillian Michaels did an interview with Andrew Wilson. It has like 8 different titles. It's like A/B testing, except there's like a C, D, E, F, and G in there. One of them was like Andrew Wilson owns the woke mob or something, which I can't believe we're unironically saying woke nowadays. But I'm curious about it, man. I'm definitely curious about it. So let's give it a fart.
From the view of the Christian,
whoa,
if somebody's advocating for the ideas of marriage and to live openly in sin and have it recognized, that's always going to be oppositional to our morality.
Can we live not openly in sin? Is that okay? Like hey guys, you can live in sin, just don't tell us about it. All right, guys, just go and cheat on your wife and hit her if she fucking gets upset with you. Bibble.
So whether or not it is the case that we compromise politically and allow you to call this thing what it is, it's still going to always be in the fundamental category of you're trying to promote degeneracy from our view.
I understand.
Or what we would consider evil.
Today,
I'm talking about gay stuff.
Sitting down with Andrew Wilson, and if you spend any time in the cultural debate space, you already know exactly who he is. So
yeah, if you do, that's true. He's a pretty big guy. You know, it's hard to get in touch with him. All you have to do is exist on Twitter, and he has a fucking meltdown anytime anything is said about him. So it's great stuff.
Let me set the table for this one. Andrew and I have a good amount of overlap on our worldview, but also some fundamental ground level disagreements, specifically when it comes to women's rights and gay marriage.
And raping women? I'm assuming you also don't agree that the fact that he probably wants to rape women pretty violently, right? It sounds like an exaggeration, but let me give you a little bit of a story all about how, okay, my life got twisted. Being against rape. So anyway, let me ask you a question. If I sat here and I said, listen, you should be thankful that I don't hit you right now. What are you thinking in your head? You're thinking, this guy wants to hit me. I think this guy wants to hit me. So when somebody says something exactly like women should be thankful that men don't rape them, what do you think they want to do? What do you think they want to do, guys? I don't know. I mean, like, my brain is too small to be able to come up with an answer to that. So that's Andrew Wilson's one of his favorite things to say. You know, he said it in our debate together. He's just incredible. He's just such a smart guy. So,
and we get right into it today. This is a man with incredible knowledge to share. And regardless of the fact that he may disagree with me or my lifestyle, I still see huge value.
Are you gay? Is Jillian Michaels a gay person?
In exploring his perspective, and I'm grateful that he showed up for this conversation. So let's get into it with Andrew Wilson.
All right, Andrew Wilson, baby.
Keeping it real with Jillian Michaels.
Keeping it real with Jillian Michaels.
And I gotta be.
You can use that, Jillian. You can use that soundbite, by the way. I'll let you have that for free. Because I'm under the good libs, okay?
Honest with you, I'm sure that, there are certain elements of the way I see the world and the way you see the world that may not align. But when I watch you, you are such a fearsome debater.
So fearsome.
And I can tell that you have such a passion for, quite honestly, saving this country.
That's so funny.
And you really go after people.
From what? From being successful? What are we talking about? How is he saving the country?
Well, equally, whether it's the right or the left, in what I perceive to be a search for the truth. So I wanted to start out by just asking, you famously were not a political pundit. I believe you were an engineer. You worked in robotics. Let's just start out with, for anybody who doesn't know, how did you end up doing this?
He worked in a Chinese labor factory making those robot dogs that did backflips. I don't know if you guys know that, okay? That's what he did. I'm serious.
Incredibly good at it.
That's not a joke at all, guys. He literally did that, okay?
Total accident. I really had no business being here. I was a maintenance mechanic, and I worked my way up from a maintenance mechanic into what would be an engineering position working on robots, and then robotics, basically operated robotics.
He's always so vague about that. I wonder what that means. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what that means. Like, I don't know. It feels the way he talks about it. It feels like when you like drive a bus and you're like, I drive a multi-million-dollar vehicle, or I drive $1 million vehicle around serving the public. You know what I mean?
Mechanic, and worked in engineering fabrication for that a bit.
Love that.
And yeah, that's what I did. And now, when COVID, I was working at meat packing plants. That's Michigan's industry is mostly.
Oh, he was servicing like stuff on an assembly line. He's not like a real like engineer. He worked on broken machines. That's what we mean by engineer. Okay, I thought it was something a lot crazier than that. Okay. Well, I mean, it's still a good job, I'm sure, but says like engineer can mean a lot of things. I'm an engineer. You can, do minor fixing on meat, on like the meat in a meat factory for the conveyor belts, or you can drive a train, or you can fucking move the world forward and like work at NASA. I don't know. I feel like we need to kind of change what engineer means. Doing a lot of legwork on that one.
Giant warehouse industry, and I've been working in large plants for basically my whole adult life.
I have allergies, so I can't do that.
Life. And I'm a night owl, so I always worked on the third shift crews.
So true.
Well, when COVID came around, the lockdowns came around, they shut down all the meat packing plants everywhere due to various health risks.
Right.
And so I found myself with a bit of time and a grudge against the entire progressive left. And so I started to engage with them on various platforms like Facebook, places like this. And eventually, a few of them, they started little tiny talk shows, like little Facebook talk shows. And so I would go in there and go in the chat and kind of rage at them and say, why don't you bring me up so that there can be some counter to your insane leftist mantras here.
Leftist mantra, that's what I've been saying.
Here. And a few of them actually did, and I just obliterated them. And
so hard. So what's funny is it's so interesting that you can kind of like exist like this. Because like this guy would get routinely embarrassed in like every debate that he did when he first started, which by the way is kind of like, it's kind of what's going to happen as you get your debate skills going. But it's so funny. He's like, I would own them all. But this guy's a meme in a lot of like left-wing circles. So it's kind of interesting. He's just been saying the same things for years. He's just found a way to make it seem like he knows what he's talking about when he talks. He just talks with like an ignorant confidence.
So I kept doing that. And then it started moving over to YouTube. People started kind of clipping it out. True. And then, some other prominent left-wing debaters, maybe they just needed content, wanted to debate with me. And I said, sure. And so I tangled with them.
Maybe they just needed content. Okay.
Messed them up real bad, too.
I like that because this guy, like, he's very self-conscious and very insecure. Like, he saw like a Twitter clip of mine. He decided that he needed to have like a debate, a perverted debate with me. It was very strange, dude. It was very strange.
And then it just continued.
Look at her laughing. What's so funny?
From there. So I had no idea that I would ever be in a prominent position for beautiful. Right-wing speakership.
And rape apologia. Yeah, true.
I had no political contacts whatsoever. I don't come from a family who has any involvement in politics, at least not any more than talking about it. They're all basically blue collar. So it's actually kind of incredible how I ended up here.
Yeah.
When I watch you, I can tell very clearly that none of this is about clicks or money. And I feel.
What do you mean? The guy says intentionally provocative shit all the time for attention. Why do you think he says things like women should be thankful that men don't rape them, or constantly use comparisons about like incest and children and all this other shit, and like talking about raping his wife, and like he clickbaits constantly? What are you talking about?
I feel like you're trying to save the world. And I identify with that. I feel like we're trying to save the world right now. Some of this insanity
from who
that you're talking about is so scary and so deeply alarming.
What? Is she fucking psychotic? What the fuck is she talking about?
Off the top, what do you think the biggest threat is? Is it legacy media? Is it...
This is like literal psychosis to me. You could just see it in her face, how distressed she is over something that she has like a legitimate mental disorder over. Okay, what? Like, you guys aren't trying to save anything. We have to just look at this from like a absolutely objective position. When the country is in crisis, we always vote blue. That's a fact. It's an uncontestable fact. Right? Why did Obama get voted in? Because we had the worst recession since the Great Depression. Oh, we need somebody on the left. Obama came in, stabilized. Right? And we got Trump. Terrible for the country. It doesn't matter. If just objectively, like, he just inflated the deficit when he had a good economy. before COVID even hit. Then COVID hits. What do we vote in? We vote Biden in, and then he stabilizes the economy. And then people are like, we got to go back to what we were doing before, right? Like everything's stable right now. What should we do? We should just be fucking stupid as shit. We should just be absolutely fucking morons. And then they're like, we're saving the country from a gay. A gay thing exists. We're saving the country. Meanwhile, everything is worse off, and these guys love the president. And there's a reason for that. If you listen to Andrew Wilson speak, I mean, he knows what he's doing. He supports the president because he's destroying the world, because he's destroying our trade relations with other countries. This guy's some kind of weird Christian nationalist. He's not interested in prosperity. He's interested in reducing people that aren't white in the country and things of that nature. And that's what Trump is doing, right? So,
politicians,
that's all we got here.
Is it lunatic podcasters that are spreading?
It's gay people. That's what he's going to say.
Insanity for clicks. Like, what is
It's gay people.
biggest threat, in your opinion, facing us right now?
He's going to probably say like degeneracy.
Problem is here, you're talking about a hierarchy of issues. You're asking, like, Andrew, which one's at the top?
Yeah.
You said that like it was intelligent, but that's how everything always works. Hey, what do you think that we're saying? Like, what do you think is the worst problem here? Well, actually, it's a hierarchy of issues. Yes, that's how everything works. Yes, but the way that he says it is so smug, and it sounds like he thinks that he's intelligent. It's like, yeah, there's always a hierarchy of issues. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
Hard to say which one.
I think it's the gays, the girls, the memers.
One I would put above all others, but
yeah,
if you wanted me to
number
try my hand at that, try to give you kind of the breakdown.
Give it to me, bud.
I'd say at the top of my list anyway, is progressive ideology, feminism being a key portion of progressive ideology.
Yeah. I mean, of course, because feminism started to be anti-rape. Andrew doesn't like that.
But also going towards the infantilization of all of humanity. I see that as the biggest problem. The reason that discourse has shut down to the point where people become insanely triggered by me just saying something that's very basic.
Right.
Aren't you like one of the biggest debaters in like the right-wing debate pervert sphere? How is discourse being shut down?
And logical and rational. And if you and I were talking anywhere outside of a political space, you would think nothing of it, is because of the infantilization which has gone on in society. The next generation has been completely infantilized. And by the way, so are millennials. And so discourse has become extraordinarily difficult.
What does that mean, that they've been infantilized?
So if I had to put on the hierarchy, it's like people need to grow up.
What does that mean? I'm like genuinely curious for him to explain that. Like, what does that mean?
Would probably be
probably be. I feel like the natural conclusion of that conversation would be to say like, oh, like, because there's a level of degree of truth to this idea. There's a level of truth to the idea that people, I guess, maybe are maturing slower, because we put less on them, because it's difficult to kind of exist outside of your, it's difficult to move out of the house and things of that nature. But like, what are you specifically talking about? What are you specifically talking about?
Okay.
Oh, he means people are talking to them too softly. Oh, okay.
That's interesting. I tend to see, I guess we were just covering this like Code Pink clip of these lunatics going to Cuba because Trump is the great
You're talking about Hassan Piker and those guys?
Yes. And I'm thinking,
oh, fuck. I honestly didn't expect to have like Hassan Parker derangement syndrome in this video.
This is all a CCP narrative. Do they know it? Do they not know it? Are they useful idiots? And that's freaking me out in a major.
It's weird that you guys will like guzzle Russian cum. You guys were doing it all last year, talking about how like Ukraine started the war, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I mean, Hassan, yeah, he does CCP fucking propaganda, and then you guys do like Russian propaganda.
Away and all these bot accounts, and I want to get to that, but let's actually stick with what you just said.
Let's stick with it.
Why do you think
stick it in my butt?
This younger generation leans in so heavily to this victim narrative? Why does everybody want to be a victim? Why?
Because they were raised by millennials, and millennials acted like victims.
This guy's a Christian nationalist. He is the victim. I don't understand. Like, what do you guys think a victim complex is? When you sit here and you say the entire world is fucked because we can no longer practice our religious expression, despite the fact that you have every opportunity to do so, you are engaging in a victim complex. The entire MAGA movement is a victim complex. What are you talking about? It's like, what are we talking about here? I mean, like, yeah, people on the left do victimize themselves. So do people on the right. You guys are like the ultimate victims. What are you talking about? You guys are still crying about freedom of speech when you won. You've had the culture for how long? What the fuck are you talking about?
So millennials blamed most of their problems on boomers, and they blame most of their problems on other people. And
well, there is a level of truth to that. I mean, the fucking economy's fucked right now. So
millennials were very ineffective at dealing with political issues. They were a very smart generation, but they were very ineffective in politics and moving the right-wing political messaging forward. And essentially, the next generation was raised by people who have serious emotional stagnation, serious emotional issues. A lot of them were raised by single mothers. A lot of them were raised in fatherless homes. A lot of them are not raised, at least not the way that I was.
You have to believe that women deserve to be raped, I guess, and they should be thankful that we don't do it. It's incredible.
And that's become a huge problem for basically emotional stunting in all of humanity.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the country moves forward every time we vote somebody that's more progressive and blue, so I don't really know how any of this makes any sense whatsoever.
At least in the West. And so discourse has become what it is. It almost seems laughable at this
Isn't that the guy from My Little Pony?
Point, how we actually have discourse with each other.
I just did one of those Jubilee debates.
I saw it.
Yeah, I saw that when she copes like a toxic mom. She's like, yeah, I know I had an entire show that centralized around, trying to get people to think that like being healthy is about losing 5 pounds a week and destroying your body in an unsustainable way. But do you think that I have a part to play when it comes to people not having healthy eating habits? I only did the biggest weight loss show in the whole world. Do you think that set bad standards for people? Like, that's fucking crazy. I'm a victim. Like, people are so soft acknowledging that.
And you know what's funny? It was 2 hours, and you're trying to communicate a much bigger message. In particular, one, now that you mention it, of not externalizing these issues and taking responsibility for your feelings. So you don't blame the world for where you're at. Because if you
in that case, wasn't it just a bunch of fat chicks complaining?
It ended up being... I got through to one who was very sweet that I fortunately I'm able to work with, but pretty much that's it. And it was, I don't like the O word, and I want to be called fat-bodied, and it was all the same stuff you're talking about. One of them.
Some of it was that. That's the point. Jubilee puts on this like performative debate situation just to like trigger people. They're obviously going to lean towards like the right-wing Overton window bullshit. They're going to pull in fucking morons that are going to talk about dumb shit that nobody cares about. That's not what it's about. That's not really what anything is about.
And
like using the word obese, who fucking cares? You shouldn't be disrespectful in your usage of any word, but like, who cares? It's a word, you know. It's not a slur.
Up reaching out saying, I'm willing to take your help if you're willing to give it. I got through to 1 out of 20, which is, I guess, you take each and every victory that you get, but they were so attached to this narrative that they were othered and they were shamed. And I just kept thinking, there's no way out.
What do you mean? I mean, these fat people are to some degree othered and shamed. I don't understand.
Of this. If this is what you're going to hang your hat on constantly, don't people?
But isn't that infantile? Don't you think that that's infantile behavior?
Of course.
Like
the
very first thing, whether this goes in the video or not, I don't know. But the very first thing you said to me is like, Andrew, you should probably quit smoking because I feel like maybe your family needs you. In your words, you said the world seems like it needs you maybe a bit.
It's fucking crazy.
I could have taken, I guess, great offense to that. I could have said, how dare you? How could you talk about my lifestyle choices like this? You barbarian, you horrific.
What's funny is like the cigarettes aren't the most unhealthy part of Andrew Wilson's life. Like again, I watched his Joe Rogan episode, and he talks about how he spends the first 2 hours of every day just on Twitter responding to private DMs of like every random person. And I see him in like other people, like my like Twitter fucking clips, like constantly arguing with just random people. This is somebody that's on Joe Rogan, right? Like this is somebody that's very popular. Whether you like him or not, he's very popular and successful. And he still feels the need to do this kind of stuff because he's addicted to Twitter. Like he has illegitimate, like he's terminally online. Like he has a mental disorder. He is addicted to going on Twitter all day, right? So, and it's not helpful for his career. Going on there and checking stuff and having calculated responses is one thing, but he's constantly fucking on there. And that's like neglecting himself and his family and every other thing else. So like he smokes cigarettes. He smokes like about 14 per, stressful debate that he has. He killed a whole pack in hours because he was getting frustrated that I wouldn't play like his weird little game. And then he sits on Twitter all day and like doesn't have like a healthy interaction with the world, So it's more than just the cigarettes, man.
Thick person. Or I can understand that the criticism doesn't actually come from you concern trolling or being a bitch. It came from the idea that, hey, that's really pretty bad for you.
Yeah, that's interesting. What's also interesting is that that's as a one-on-one conversation with a person. Like that's not how the day-to-day goes, right? There's a difference between like you talking to somebody or you like, and it's a respectful thing, versus going online and seeing a fat person and having a fucking meltdown at their existence and just calling them fat for trying to make like a let's play video or some stupid ass fucking like silly TikTok, right?
Probably step away from it. Very first thing, right? But this is how adults talk to each other. They talk like this all the time to each other. And it's like,
so true, King. So true.
The fact that you throw a fit because you're really fat and won't put down the fork is like, that's part of what I'm talking about.
What if I use a spoon, dude?
With infantilization of people. Right. And this is the primary problem that I see.
It is interesting though, like if you think about it, that like, you know, if you're fat, people will look at you and they'll be like, wow, you're disgusting. Again, Andrew Wilson has horrible habits. He smokes like packs of cigarettes a day. That's really unhealthy. He's probably going to die early. He neglects his family by just constantly sitting on Twitter for probably like 4 hours a day, admittedly, on Joe Rogan. You know, but if you're overweight and you can fucking squat calves to fucking hamstrings, people are like, oh, you're fat. You're like, I am more active and in like better shape and more athletic than Andrew Wilson. But because he's not as heavy as me, you're like, that's not true. I don't think that. It's like you guys haven't seen a football player before and don't know what that means and what the kind of body that would be. It's just very interesting, like how that stereotype perpetuates itself.
See with the left and the progressives is that they're perpetually infantilized. They want safe spaces. They want things their
Give me safe spaces. I don't want to be raped.
Way and only their way. It can't be any other way. Or you're a Nazi. You're a fascist. You're evil. You're a horrible person. Any type of value structure which you have.
It's crazy. It's crazy. We live in a world where our president is literally in the Epstein files and refuses to release him, despite the fact that he promised it. Like he's probably not a Nazi or a fascist or a child predator or anything like that. Literally not. He's rage posting on fucking Twitter about how he's literally Jesus Christ, using AI to depict himself as actual Jesus Christ. So these guys still are not like, that's fucking crazy. You know what I mean?
Might go against their value.
What the fuck is that?
Structure instantly puts you in the evil category.
What the hell?
These are very like emotionally unstable, mentally unwell people.
That's pretty much it, man. Just keep saying emotionally unstable. I believe in a magical apple curse. That makes me balanced. But if you don't want people to bully other people, you are fucking crazy.
And that's what we're up against. And if you wonder why it is that politics seems so crazy, it's because there's a lot of people now who exist in the world that you and I live in who are actually crazy.
Crazy, true.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair point.
I don't really see why. Again, we have an entire section of people who want to run the country politically based on a fucking magical apple curse. I don't really understand what we're saying. You know, and if you're going to call people crazy on the left because they believe in whatever, I mean, like, you have to kind of look inward. There's no objective proof of your religious belief, so it's kind of strange. The only reason you guys get away with like being so emotional when it comes to your religious expression is because everybody believes the thing. That's pretty much it. And if they don't believe that thing, a lot of them believe another thing. But you're like, no, we're facts, guys. We're not crazy. Not once do you hear these guys talk about people that are like donating their entire life savings to mega churches. That's legitimate religious psychosis, even if you believe in God. They never talk about that. But some 14-year-old that's like, I think I'm non-binary. Hey, I'm 14 years old and I grew up as a girl, but our president wants to molest kids my age. I think I don't want to identify as a girl anymore because I'm fucking terrified of that. All of a sudden they have a mental problem. It's not the fact that we have a disgusting fucking, right-wing atmosphere that's trying to normalize pedophilia by saying, well, Epstein technically wasn't a pedophile. They're actually like 15. Is it really that big of a deal? Well, not holding Trump to task to do what he said he'd do and release the client list that he said he would do because he's obviously in it. Right? But everybody else is fucking crazy. But they're not interested in like the actual conversation about like why some people, not all of some people are identifying like away from, especially identifying as a girl, because people like this, people like Andrew Wilson, who will say that women should be thankful that men don't rape them. Like, you think that maybe is part of it? You think that if like a woman hears that, a young girl hears that there's a person saying, a very popular person saying, you should be thankful that men don't rape women. You don't think that would make them go like, oh, I don't want to be a woman anymore? You don't think there's any of them doing that? You don't think that's not, you don't think that that's like a factor for a lot of these people, that general narrative is accepted? This person is very prominent despite the fact that he says things a rapist would say. And he rationalizes, well, technically men can do whatever they want because they're so strong. So, logically, it's like, okay, so then what about babies? Do you say the same thing to babies? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, how far do we go? Like, should we be thankful that men don't fuck dogs? Like, what are we doing here? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense.
Do you think that there is a way to get them to see through this? So when I look at people like Alex Preddy, for example, the
guy who is just like he is engaging in his rights and protesting.
Guy, I wonder if these millennials or Renee
the nutcase who kicked out the rear.
Okay.
The nutcase who decided he was going to kick out the tail light.
I understand.
You mean like a week prior that he did that? Yeah, he should have been put in jail for that, but that has nothing to do with the fact that like he was just like literally assaulted by a police officer. They took his gun and then they shot him to death. So like what you're doing right now is you're justifying his death. But hey, listen, I guess people of God love doing that.
Dan, my question though is, as he's doing this, I think he truly believes that he's fighting the Gestapo and he's some sort of hero.
Well, they were used as a way to distract from the fucking Epstein list, and also to just like put a marker on fucking immigrants, illegal or otherwise, just because they want to rile up like anti-fucking, they want to rile up like a white supremacist fucking narrative. I don't know what we're talking about. Literally, they had to stop doing that because even people on the right were like, "This is ridiculous." They're just going after a lot of people who are just like peacefully. They're here illegally, but they're trying to do their best. So, where the fuck do I go?
In his own movie. And you hear this narrative from the left of, I was just dismantling this clip of Joy Reid and like how America treats women as badly as Iran. And I'm like, are you actually stupid?
That's
or
crazy.
are you just the devil? Like, which one?
It must be easy when all you do is engage with shit like that. Like, you don't engage in any intelligent conversation with like somebody on the left. You just engage with like slop. Oh, let me talk to Jubilee put together a bunch of fucking weird, annoying fat activists. Slam dunk because they think obese is a slur. You don't talk to anybody with any meaningful conversation to have. You guys pick easy slop. Like these people live in this online world. They're like, let me have a conversation with somebody who thinks America treats women like fucking Iran does or whatever. Or that obese is a slur. Oh, look how dumb these people are. I'm having curated conversations. Oh, look, they're so dumb. I'm trying to talk to idiots, and then those idiots are dumb. Like, who the fuck would have thought? Yeah, no shit, man. Like, why don't you talk to somebody that's actually trying to have like a real conversation instead of just like some random fucking, idiot fat activist that has no idea what the fuck she's talking about or they're talking about. Who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? It's like you guys are lazy. Shut the fuck up. I mean, Jesus fuck.
Is it because there's no universe where you could draw these parallels, right? Like, there's no. But then someone like Alex Preddy and Renee Gird are like, yes, I am fighting the Gestapo and I finally have meaning in my life. Like, I don't even know.
Who cares if he actually believes that or not? The guy was fucking assassinated. He was fucking murdered by ICE. Why is that not part of the conversation? It doesn't matter if he was fucking crazy and stupid and no idea what he was talking about. He was still killed by ICE unjustifiably. They took his gun. There were 6 of them on top of him and they shot him in the fucking head. They shot him like 3 times. Who gives a shit about whether you think... Like, I don't understand. Why is that not part of the conversation? It seems intentional. You guys are in a happy box right now. You guys are like, oh, people on the left want safe spaces, and then all you do is exist in safe spaces. Every conversation you have is curated, and like you just sit there and you're basically just fingering yourself in front of everybody right now.
Oh, what we're dealing with. Like, do these people not know? Do they know? What are we dealing with?
Well, let me ask you a question. Maybe through the question we can get to the answer here.
Maybe we can. Wow, really? Is that how questions and answers work?
Do you think that people need dogma?
No.
You don't think so? You don't think people need dogma? They need something to believe in. They need something to move towards.
Of course.
I mean, maybe. I guess everybody needs like something to centralize their philosophy on. Sure. I would say that can be very helpful.
It's a belief system, sure. And I understand that religion provides this, right? Principles and a way to live. Right? I understand that completely, yes.
Yeah, so if that's the case, though, and that goes away, it's got to be replaced with other dogmas, right?
Sure. Yes. What's your point?
And what progressivism is, progressive ideology and left-wing ideology, it's a form of dogma, no different than religious dogma from Christianity or Islam or Judaism or anything else.
Yeah.
It is a form of dogmas.
Except without like the justification of children being married, because all of these fucking religions justify child marriage in their most extreme forms.
They move towards immaterial concepts like rights and things like this.
Yeah, man. People should have the right to exist comfortably and happy as long as they don't infringe on the autonomy of other people. Sure.
They present those as though they're factual and given and granted the same way a Christian would with God. I appeal to God for human dignity and for how you treat people and for all of this stuff, right? They appeal to another mystical fairy tale called rights and human
rights are a mystical fairy tale.
The things like this.
It's really funny that somebody who unironically believes in a magical apple curse, where we all used to be literally immortal beings, right? Until a girl ate a fruit, a red fruit, by the way, because those are the worst. And then that spun into God making a girl pregnant with his child that's actually him so that he can grow up and then die for him or die for us, for our sins that God created and put into the world after, of course, letting the devil to tempt Eve, right? All these, like that sounds normal to them. And then like every week going in and metaphorically cannibalizing the body and blood of Jesus Christ. That's normal. But if somebody's like, hey, listen, I think that we should try to create a belief structure that centralizes around everybody being as happy as possible without infringing on other people's rights, all of a sudden, like that's a mystical fantasy. Like you have to understand that just because he's confident doesn't mean that he's not delusional. That's insane. That's delusional. Only somebody with a mental health issue would ever say something like that. That's fucking unhinged. Like he's got like fucking mega church levels of fucking religious psychosis. It's insane.
Just all fairy tales that are made up. So,
okay.
if that's the case, right, if you're going to remove one dogma from society, it's going to be replaced with another. Now, in I'd
rather not go with the one that from your argument says that slavery is good, because you said that slavery was only when they enslaved people that fought them or something. Okay, I gotcha. So I'm thinking maybe I'm more chill with the one that's like, hey, slavery is actually bad.
Christianity, we call this concept the telos. The idea is that this means like your purpose.
Okay.
Christians know what their purpose is. My purpose as a man is to have a family. It's to obey God's word. It's to take care of my wife, take care of my children.
So then why do you neglect her when you literally are on fucking Twitter for like 4 hours a day? What are you talking about?
There's certain ways that I'm expected to act within the community. There's charity that needs to be given. There's
they're chill with you talking about why women should be thankful that they don't get raped? I don't understand. There's no way that you live by any like actual meaningful, intelligent Christian ethic.
Certain forms of tithing. Like I know what my purpose is. I know exactly what it's supposed to be.
Me too, man. Me too.
Because it's all grounded through this deity and the dogma, right?
Yeah, you don't need that to have purpose and to have confidence in a purpose. You don't need to be religious to be like, I want to exist and do the right thing to help other people's be as free as I feel that I should be and we should all be, as long as we're not infringing on someone else's right. It really isn't that complicated.
If all of that's gone and the entire foundation of everything that people have always believed,
that doesn't disappear. It never disappears. This is one of those things, like they create this fantasy world where like, see, what if we just got rid of religion? Like nobody's trying to just get rid of religion. We're just slowly shifting away from religion being our number one factor. And if you look at other countries, other Western countries, the less religion they have, the more happy people are. But nobody's like, let's just get rid of religion, right? Religion has some good things in it. It doesn't mean that there is a God. There might be, but it doesn't mean that there is a God and that he created all these things. But some things are good. We should not murder each other. We should try to love each other and treat each other with peace and happiness and whatnot, right? These aren't going to disappear. Things would just shift, right? Like people, instead of being like, I have to follow this book, this book, it says a thing, they would just be like, oh, what is the right thing? This is what I'm learning is the right thing. We should try not to oppress each other or harm each other in some capacity.
Which is removed, the dogma has to now be replaced. Well, what the progressive left has replaced the dogma with is my freedom and my rights. And
apparently freedom and rights are a meme now.
My this and my that. And so anything.
It's so interesting how he just says like facts from the left in a weird way. And he's like, I owned them on that one. Guys, I'm owning them right now. Oh, my freedom. Okay. Yeah, man, freedom's pretty cool. I like it.
Which they can then perceive as a threat to this is fascist Nazi. That's their Satan.
Yeah,
so they have their God
and
they have their Satan, and they have these two, they have their own forms of dogma around their God and Satan, and the right is their Satan. And so you got to remember from Preddy's view, when you put it in the proper context, he was fighting the devil, right? He was
protesting legally and he got murdered. I don't understand what we're doing here.
Fighting demons. Yeah. ICE are demons. They're not people like you and I. They're demons.
Whether he believed ICE were demons or not is wholly irrelevant, because he wasn't acting in a way that was threatening towards ICE. ICE violently shoved the woman. He got in the middle of them, put his hands up, and then they pepper spray him, pushed him to the ground, 6 of them toppled him, grabbed his gun, and then shot him to death. It doesn't matter. And this is the comfort hug box world that these people live in. Is they do a thing that's just called retelling. It's literally just rewriting history. They do this all the time, right? This event hasn't happened in a while, and especially right now where things are just changing so quickly. People forget, or they lose intensity for a certain moment, because now we have intensity for a new moment, and ABCDXYZ and all these different things happen, right? And then they retell the story. And then in this retelling of a story, they don't talk about how the police officer, or excuse me, they're CPB agents. I don't think they're ICE officers, which Andrew knows. I don't know why he's not bringing that up. But anyway, these officers, these untrained officers, where we've already seen by now factually that there's been leaks, people people who were training people from the inside were like, yeah, they were intentionally being taught, not being taught, the Constitution properly or the correct way to engage with people. These things don't matter for context anymore, because now it's all about the feeling of well, Alex Preddy died and it's actually his fault, and that's the indication of what we're hearing here, right? That's everything that we hear here, and you have to understand that, and you have to be immune. Don't get super riled up and get triggered over it. Just look at these people oh, okay, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. You're just trying to retell history, trying to change history, recent history. The propaganda isn't even oh man, this war ended, let's do some changing over the course of decades. It's no, this happened a month ago, let's shift the entire narrative instantaneously and just move on. That's pretty much it. That's the entire thing. That's exactly what's happening here.
And this, they would never frame it this way, but that's how they act in reality. Is as though this dogma, which they've come up with, is good versus evil, bad versus, not bad, this kind of thing. Okay. And they have their own dogmas that they move towards.
It's also very interesting to hear, because I think this is another perspective people don't keep in mind, is that like we're all online, some more than others. Alex Preddy probably wasn't online in the way that like Andrew Wilson is very online. He's like, again, he's addicted to Twitter, right? And so like this whole thing is being filtered through like these extremes. Like Alex Preddy is so extreme. He's just another crazy extreme leftist. And it's like, was he a crazy extreme leftist, or was he just some dude that was like fucking protesting because he was frustrated and like he had a regular person job where he regularly interacted with real people instead of just everybody online? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, like we're very online, and it takes a lot to not be terminally online. And what keeps me grounded is that I have a wife with a real job. Like she is a social worker. She is very beneficial to society from an objective perspective. She's not somebody who does like performative debates online, right? So, but Andrew doesn't have that because his wife is just trying to like emulate him in some capacity.
And the demons that they're fighting, in this case, the fascists would be like the Trump administration, and the Nazis would be people like me. Now, because you were on and told fat women to stop doing, being fat women, that now you're a Nazi too.
I've been one for a while.
So, but you're part of an ethos in which the dogma is showing you to be a demonic entity. You're against some form of whatever their highest calling is. In this case, I can do what I want, girl. Nobody can tell me what I can do. I'm the boss. How dare you? Only a demon would do that. Why would you body shame me? What sort of horrific person does this? And so well,
why would you body shame somebody? Body shaming is bad. That's not productive. You're not going to change somebody's weight by shaming their body. You're going to do it by saying like, hey, listen, you should love yourself enough to try to make a productive change in your habits. But you do that on like a personal level. You don't do that online. People trolling online are not going to change the weight, like somebody's weight at all.
Where you fit inside of the dogma.
Happening.
Okay, and I'm willing to go down that path. Fair, no problem. They see the world this way. Here's where you're losing me completely. And I'll go back to the Code Pink situation. You have a bunch of people on a plane going to save the Cubans from the evil imperialist West, and I'm thinking, you are with an organization that is representing the CCP. If you want to talk about human rights offenses, they harvest the organs of their political prisoners. They're committing genocide against a minority Muslim community called the Uyghurs. You guys love there you go. How then, where is the hierarchy of evil? It's right in front of your face. If you're worried about human rights abuses and you're a feminist, which I want to talk to you about because I don't really understand what you and Crowder mean about this, and he and I didn't have a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, that's true. Just like he rewrote the history and the prescription of biblical slavery to only prisoners of war. Yes, exactly. And that's another thing too. Like this whole thing, it's like it's a game. Do you see that it's like a game to these people? They're talking about Hassan Parker. Hassan Parker is a fucking loser. He's a left-wing loser. Hassan is the literal meme. He's the guy that you can point out and go like, wow, what an idiot, because he's constantly being an idiot, right? It's low-hanging fruit. And so a lot of these people, they just go like, oh, Hassan is bad, so that means everybody on the left is bad. Despite the fact that Hassan doesn't shut the fuck up about how he gets purity tested as he purity tests other people, right? He fucking shit all over his pants because I don't like communism. That's what, like, not unironically, he purity tested me for that. And it's like, you guys go out there and you just find your representation of what the left is, which is always very online. And you go, this is all of you guys, right? This is all of you guys. This is all you guys do. Oh, this is the most, right. And I don't have that for the right. Like, there's a lot of like MAGA, like actual freaks. And well, Trump is literally that. I mean, Trump is insane. He literally has he is dementia ridden. He's posting memes about how he's Jesus Christ and he's getting called out from the fucking Pope, right? But like my day-to-day MAGA are like my friends and family and stuff. And I love them. They piss me the fuck off with that dumbass bullshit, but I still love them and I can engage with them. And they all work a job, just like my left-leaning friends, they also work a job. You know what I mean? So like that's my interaction with these people. But for them, they're all very online. That's all they do all day. So everything is so extreme. But they don't realize like they're literally all just like actual victims of like the online fucking like just slop shit. That's it. Although part of me feels like they like that. They like that low hanging fruit.
On the one time we did get a chance to talk, but okay, I'm a feminist. I'm a feminist.
I'm a feminist.
Andrew, why then am I not more furious about the Islamic regime in Iran, if I'm all about trans.
Well, so just to be like, if you want to have like a real conversation about that, like that's well, partially because they don't live there, or feminists don't live there. Partially because we know that Trump is doing this as a distraction from the fact that he probably raped kids, right? And then he's on the Epstein list, and he refuses to release the client list, which is what we're all asking for, the actual names of the predators. He refuses to release it. He ran on releasing it. He still has not done it, and that's a huge part of it, right? We understand that we can't just go and attack a place and go like, oh, we're going to change your morals right now. Last year, Trump was sitting here saying that he has ended the nuclear threat in Iran, and all of a sudden it's back. So he's a failure regardless, right? But then if you continue to go into that, there was no immediate threat in any capacity. There was no reason to go over there, right? And the way that you change another culture is you slowly get them to change by working with them in a productive way, and you slowly to get them to change their rights. And should things change? Absolutely. But every time we go over there and we go for regime change, it fucks everything up. Right. So you want to boil this down, but you want to boil this down so easily. It's just very strange. You want to exist in like this very unintelligent, irrational argument. It's like, why wouldn't we justify murdering a school full of children with bombs if you believe in feminism? Now, feminism was founded on the rights of children, specifically little girls, because age of consent in America, when it was founded as a Christian country that Andrew loves, was like 7 to 12 years old. But we're going to ignore that part, right? But it's so easy to be so simple. Like, that's what Jillian Michaels wants to do. It's so easy to be so simple. Everything is so simple when it comes down to it. And that's one of the problems, is that you're thinking in a very simplistic way. That's what it is.
Children and gay rights and all of this. Why do I not appreciate that in the vast majority of Muslim countries, gays get shoved off of a roof? Like, where's the disconnect there in the hierarchy of evil?
Well, you're being consistent with, so foundationally, however...
You're not being consistent with anything.
You were raised. You were raised in a nation which, at its foundation, its core, and its roots, comes from a pan-Protestant belief structure, therefore a Christian belief structure. All the things that you believe about human dignity and human rights and how people ought to be treated, and how adults have discourse and all of this actually spawns, without you even knowing it, from these various ideas, and also from...
Well, considering you want to roll back rights for gay people, I don't think that that's true whatsoever, but okay.
Progressive thinkers like John Locke and others like this, who introduced these other philosophies, which mingled with the pan-Protestants and created the sort of Americana philosophy that you grew up with.
Okay.
You have to understand that for these people, that doesn't exist. That was all deconstructed for them. They don't have the same views that you do. Their whole worldview is flipped 180 degrees. It's being revived with another sort of dogma. America is actually the great Satan. Yeah. The people who are in it, who are white, are designed to
he's literally just info dumping what he just said before. He's doing the same thing over and over again. And Andrew's arguments basically boil down to this. Hey, we started as a Christian country, and so everything that we have now in America, in our country, and every Western country comes from that. So the Christian part must be the positive. And there can be positives in the Christian part, but it's not positive, right? When the country was founded, the age of consent was anywhere from 7 to 12 years old. Based on your logic, that's what the Bible says. It was founded on the justification of slavery. Based on your logic, like, this is okay. Like, he literally has said to me, hey, slavery was just prisoners of wars back in the day. It really isn't that big of a deal. Like, he likes to whitewash and change history. But the reality is we've evolved. And we've evolved we have a foundation of religion, of course, and then we've evolved into a happier, more prosperous country overall. The biggest issue we're facing nowadays isn't the return to degeneracy or whatever. Maybe it is, but in a different way. It's online. It's the online culture. That's what it is. Online is insane. Right? It's constantly beaming information into your brain that makes you have like a particular thought. It's fucking you up. Your algorithm doesn't exist to make you happy. It exists to make you engaged. And so if you have a feeling of something that you don't like, you're seeing it constantly and in the worst way, so that you will continue to be outrage farmed until a McDonald's ad goes on there, right? I know about that. That's what's happening. And we're not correctly identifying the problem. We're saying it must be gay people online, and not like, it must be this constant beaming of information on social media that is addictive. The problem is Andrew Wilson is addicted to the devil, right? He's addicted to Twitter. In his conversation with Rogan, again, he talks about how he's just on Twitter for 2 hours a day at minimum. He has the addiction. So of course the functioning addict of the biggest problem in society, which is social media, he's not going to identify or understand the real problem that's plaguing us. He's going to say, no, it must be something else that makes me feel uncomfortable. Despite the fact that as our country has gotten more progressive, we have gotten happier, and the fact that every single time there is a crisis, we vote for the people on the left with the left-leaning religious dogma, and then they fix the country, and then we go back to voting like fools, and then everything gets worse. So,
oppressors. There's an oppressor-oppressed class now. Cubans are actually misunderstood. They have been oppressed by an evil system which is designed to stem the glories of communism, which is designed around another form of dogma called equity. And equity is making sure that each person is given basically the same exact opportunities and same exact resources to have those opportunities, whether they
should be to an extent.
They had access to them or not.
We should try to give as much productive access to the opportunity as possible. I don't know why you're framing that like a negative.
These are all dogmas which actually are against the sort of belief structures that you grew up with. And that's where that major disconnect is. You say, but it's right in front of their face. Well, that doesn't matter. Everybody interprets the world through a worldview. You do it, I do.
Really?
Do it, everybody does it. We have biases which are associated with those worldviews.
Wow.
So even if things seem
Thanks, man.
apparent, obvious, and logical and rational to you, to the observer who's interpreting it through an oppositional worldview or a different worldview, they actually don't even perceive the situation the same way you do.
I know.
And so,
okay, got it. I listen. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it feels like we're explaining, like we're like children right now. Yeah, thanks. Can we get to a deeper concept here?
So really what you're trying to do is get at the pillar of that worldview, kick it out from under them so that you can change their mind. The one girl who probably changed her mind on Jubilee, you probably went after the foundation of her belief. And when you did, it clicked, right? Wait a second. But
yeah, was Jesus against economic equality? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Holy shit.
You understand something that's important. You might wonder why it is that they get so scathing and why it is they can become irrational and they get so angry. When that happens, if you eliminate a worldview from a person, that actually causes physical agony and pain. It's called cognitive dissonance. And when a person enters into cognitive dissonance, it's a very painful, transformative experience for them.
I'm pretty sure cognitive dissonance, maybe I'm wrong, is when somebody has like two different perspectives on like the same scenario, or like a different scenario that is like basically the same. But okay.
And it's like decimating, it's soul crushing. And so people will actually do a lot to preserve a bad worldview rather than go through the experience of cognitive dissonance.
Sounds like you, boss.
Okay. I've been doing a little spring reset with my
Here we go, dude. We got a fucking ad.
closet lately, focusing on quality over quantity.
We always watch them, baby.
And I'm building a wardrobe of pieces that are well-made, versatile, and easy to reach for every day. And that's why I keep coming back to Quince. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are thoughtful, and the pricing makes sense. Quince makes beautiful everyday pieces using premium materials like 100%.
I love that so much, Jillian. See, it's the cognitive dissonance is a mental discomfort experience when holding two or more contradictory beliefs, values, or attitudes, or when behaviors clash with beliefs. I guess maybe it is cognitive dissonance. I guess it's a little more broad than I thought. To the question about like whether Andrew should accept the boxing match with Brian Shapiro, I don't think it makes him. I mean, we think about this, like, regardless of whether you like Andrew Wilson or not, again, from an objective perspective, he makes money because of his brain. So he's somebody who's very out of shape and smokes constant cigarettes. And you're going to say, like, hey, you should go box and potentially get hit in the head and like get a traumatic brain injury, which would prevent his ability to make more money. It makes no sense that he would ever do that.
Linen, organic cotton, and super soft denim with styles starting around $50.
Whoa,
Their spring pieces are lightweight, breathable, and effortless. They're the kind of things you can throw on and instantly look put together. And that same focus on materials carries over into their accessories, like their leather bags, which are made from 100% hand-woven Italian leather, and honestly look way more expensive than they actually are. And this is because Quince works directly with ethical factories and cuts out the middleman, so you're paying for quality without a brand markup.
That doesn't make sense. I understand. I understand you're saying, hey, it's good quality, but it would make it more expensive if they worked ethically, which is still the right way to go. But okay,
right? You save a ton.
Gotcha.
On the most amazing clothing and accessories because you're not paying that middleman. So refresh your spring wardrobe with Quince. Just go to quince.com/Jillian for
What if I want to pay the middleman, huh, Jillian? You ever think about that, you freaking poopy head?
free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Go to quince.com/Jillian for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Jillian. I have a hard time understanding that simply because their worldview is causing them so much pain to begin with. And yet every time I engage in these kinds of conversations, there's always ad hominem attacks.
Their worldview is not in causing it. Well, it is to an extent, but she's not saying their worldview is causing it. She's saying that a left-leaning worldview is causing it because they have a victim complex. And she's attaching like left or right to a victim complex when we know that like the reality is, like, again, MAGA is a victim complex of people who feel like they've been disenfranchised by the system. And they want to be violent and like attack people, and they think that the issue is like immigrants, but it's actually billionaires, like, you know, robbing them of their resources and their, you know, their time and effort, right? There's a lot of victim complexes that are going on. So
whether it's on peers, you know, you're a white nationalist. I've been called everything. Every single,
same, dude.
You know, bigot, racist, transphobe. That is the.
Has anybody called her this? Like, is she like? I'm not sure be an asshole. Is she even really that relevant anymore? Like, it sounds like she's trying to take a turn back to relevancy and she's talking to people. But is she really like this like huge prolific fucking person now? Like, what? Like, I'm a little confused. Like, we're acting like she. Maybe I'm just fucking stupid. I don't really know.
Number one go-to the point that it's just so friggin' absurd you don't even register it anymore. But on Jubilee they were all like, oh, I hope you don't have a daughter. Oh my god, is this how you raise your kids? And I stayed super calm and cool, but I thought, what a disgusting way to tackle an argument.
Pretty horrible, huh?
Yeah.
Terrible.
And here you are
I didn't see that, so I can't really have an opinion on it.
Trying to take the moral high ground. It confounds me. It confounds me, Andrew. And I think what
but you have to remember, through their worldview, they have the moral high ground, and you're assaulting the moral high ground. You're the one who's the attacker. You're the aggressor. You see, they didn't come to you and demand that you tell them to put down the fork. You're coming to them and telling them they need to put down the fork. Therefore, you're the aggressor. You're the evil one. You're the victimizer. You're the oppressor.
Well, I mean, fundamentally, if you're just a random person saying that to them, that would be a reason for them to be like, hey, what the fuck? That's inappropriate. That's something that my friends or family would say to me.
Right? They didn't do nothing. They were just minding their own business and eating their third course of McDonald's for the afternoon. And here you come trying to tell them what they can and can't do. And this is what I mean by...
It kills me that cigarette guy's talking about health.
Paradigms and the way that we interpret the world and worldviews. And I learned this from years of debating professionally with every prominent leftist essentially on planet Earth.
I like that the professionally to him is just like he makes money doing it, so it's professionally.
We'll continue to do so.
It's incredible.
You're so incredible, Andrew. I want to fuck you so bad. Unfortunately, Andrew's not a 20-year-old English woman that criticizes him, because Andrew is in love with Tilly Middlehurst. I'm not even kidding. I think that's exactly what it is.
Worldview operates in a completely in trying to break it down and understand it is the key to their defeat. And it's difficult for people to do. And it's difficult for people to change their minds, especially in politics, because of the ideas of cognitive dissonance and the kind of pain that people go through having to actually make those sorts of shifts. Now, they're better people for it, almost always, but it can be a very painful experience.
Why can I change my mind? Now,
you can't. You were confronted with the objective fact that, like, you had a reality TV show, whatever you want to call it, that was one of the worst things for people's mental health when it came to losing weight that could ever possibly exist. I remember as a kid watching that show, and it caused me to not eat during school and drink a Diet Coke instead. And what do? You're a kid. You don't know what's going on. You come home and you just binge eat because you're hungry. Right? They taught you that if you did, like, losing 5 pounds a week was somehow healthy. It wasn't healthy at all. And if you didn't do it, you were a horrifically bad person. That is what people got out of that show. And people would confront you on that, and you would have a fucking meltdown about it. Now, we're adults now, so it's my responsibility to deal with me being obese. I totally understand that, and I get that. But you can't even, like, keep in mind of, like, oh yeah, I did have a negative impact on people. No. I didn't do that. I never do that. I did not do that. You did do that. You were a huge problem. But instead you turn it around and you act like a victim. Like, you act like a toxic mom, where when someone's like, yeah, you beat the shit out of us when we were kids. That was fucked up. No, I didn't. So I should kill myself? That's what you do. That's like that's the embodiment of, like, all of your energy. Just so that you're aware of that. So, you know, you got to keep these things in mind. Jillian, you got to keep these in. You don't change your mind. You can't change your mind. You exist in comfort hug boxes, and you talk to people who make you feel like what conversations you do. Hey, I talked to Andrew Wilson. He agrees with pretty much everything that I have to say. Any disagreement is like almost nothing. I love him so much. I think he's amazing and incredible. That's what you're saying in this one. Or let me go on Jubilee, where they're going to give me a curated experience of a bunch of fucking morons that are going to come on and talk about how being obese is a slur, right? Like, you're not changing your mind. You're engaging with people that are reinforcing your beliefs of people. Like you believe that everybody on the left is a very extreme individual.
To give you an example, don't hate me, former liberal, your COVID absolutely pushed me to the center, and then everything after that has made me center right, a little farther right. Having said that, I would argue that a lot of my positions haven't changed. I was never for open borders. I would never have trans kids. Like, these are the
trans kids. I love how these are like the two biggest things apparently on the right, on the left. Open borders, which has never been a thing whatsoever. Trump had his own people knock down a bill that would have solved the border under Biden because he wanted to run on it. He's admitted this publicly. or transing kids. Nobody gives, like, people, this is not a real issue. Nobody's transing kids whatsoever. But they're like, yeah, close the borders. Don't, trans things are bad, but fuck the economy to death.
The party, I'm also a classic, the left left me. Having said that, though, there are definite things I changed my mind on because I was...
Like what?
Informed in a different way. And
what?
even looking at Trump, I
dude?
thought, oh my God, when he was voted in 2016, I was like, oh, he's the devil. He's, I believed Russia. I thought he was a rapist.
He is a rapist. He can be found liable in civil court, and he won't release a client list. Russia was true. Russia worked hard to get him to become president. That's a fact, and he's paid it in dividends. Russia's making more money now than ever because the Strait of Hormuz is fucking closed, and so now they're selling more oil than they ever have. What are you talking about? What is it that you're saying? What? Yeah, he said that Ukraine started the war, even though Russia invaded Ukraine. He's a huge Russia guy. What?
I believed all of that. And then
It is true, though.
over time, as it started to come out, and I was presented with facts, I was able to shift my worldview and say, wow.
What fact? What facts are you talking about? Russia did influence the election. I don't understand what you're saying.
Oh, I got that wrong. Holy cow.
To be fair to that, like, let's explore that a little bit.
Okay.
Is it the case that that was a painful experience to do? Like, that you had to shrug off a lot of the things that you really thought you knew, and now you're kind of coming to these realizations that, you know, maybe some of the kind of...
I think there were like 34 convictions in the Mueller report. Like, I don't know what we're talking about here.
Foundational beliefs you had about the world, they're not true.
I thought it
And
was
you need to
liberating.
I know, dude. It's so liberating to just be a fucking moron and get bullied by idiots on the right into believing something that's not true.
I
Well,
felt like,
sure.
oh, God, now we don't have this. Now that I can see that there's not an evil dictator in the White House, that I don't think half the country...
You don't think him threatening the agency of Greenland is like is dictator behavior, or... No, we're not thinking about that one. No. What about him posting as if he's Jesus Christ? Is that dictator level behavior? I feel like it is. No? All right, cool.
is insane. This is so nice. I actually, this is...
Well, those beliefs that you held to
You don't think he's insane? What?
may not have been nearly as foundational as you thought.
Okay.
It could have been that you, whatever the foundational beliefs you have are designed around if new information comes in, I'm willing to change my mind about it, rather than being kind of a
He didn't start any wars. So true, King. He ended like 47,000 wars, actually.
paradigm, you know, like a massive paradigm shift. These were smaller paradigm shifts, but you can imagine like maybe a different situation. So
What's happening?
let's say that you went for 55 years as a staunch religion, you know, in one religion, you were very staunch. Your whole community is built around that. Everything you know is built around that. And one day you realize that there's enough evidence there that you were forced to concede that is not true. Well, your whole life is now completely bottomed, right? Everything is now turned upside down.
Does he not realize that he's just describing like why he still believes in the magical apple curse, even though there's no like factual foundation to it? It's weird that these guys always like self-report. It's very fucking strange.
And now you have to interpret information a brand new way you're not used to, things like this. So it could be in your
He's just describing why nobody gets away from religious psychosis.
experience that was more, it was easier to do. And don't take offense to this because I don't mean it to be offensive.
God, please.
But it's
I will take no
it's
offense.
possible you didn't have that these were not serious foundational beliefs, but rather just interpretations based on those foundational beliefs.
That's
right?
entirely possible. 100%. Talk to me about this concept of feminism, because I don't think I understand it. And when I was talking to Crowder,
You don't understand feminism? I understand that some things are cringe, but feminism is about women having more rights. You know, it started with age of consent. Remember, when the country was founded on religion, the age of consent was anywhere from 7 to 12 years old. Feminism said, I don't think that our daughters should be getting raped and put into groomed marriages. So that's where feminism started. And now feminism has shifted. I mean, frankly, I think it needs to be much more different. I think that feminism, what it means nowadays, should be valuing femininity rather than women necessarily. You know, like social worker jobs, nurses, teachers, daycare workers, things like this, I think should be a little more, social workers should be valued more in society. And we don't value them. And these are professions that young men can also get into. And I think that a male perspective is good in every profession, just like I think a female's perspective is good in every profession as well. Get a mixture between the two. That's what feminism should be nowadays. You know what I mean? And I like to say that a lot because I really do think that we need to kind of like actively work towards that being the understanding, especially in America. Although it's kind of tough, I guess, with the rolling back of abortion, which is, a woman's right. Of course, it's killing a child. That's what they say as they justify bombing children in Iran. And they don't give a fuck about, children not getting proper food and nutrition or anything like that. We got to help our country. We can't be helping these other countries. Hey, what if we give kids free school lunch so that they had good nutrition so they could grow up intelligent? No, fuck that. We can't do that. What if we give billionaires tax cuts? Yes, please. Yes, I might be a billionaire one day. We need to do that. Please. It's incredible.
He brought this up, and I had said, we were disagreeing about some things that Nick Fuentes had said, and I was like, well, I think women should be able to vote. And he's like, well, I don't think they should if you're not getting drafted. And I didn't even know where he was going with it because he kind of took me. So.
I love this so much, dude. I love this conversation so much because that's just insane to me. If somebody sat here and told me that I don't think that you should have a fundamental, I would say, human right, I'd be like, I don't think you're a good person. Even if you say it nicely, I'd rather you call me a slur. You know what I mean? Like, what is worse? Unironically, this is a real thing. What's worse, calling a black person the N-word or removing women's ability to vote? Right? I'm not saying calling a black person the N-word is bad. I'm not saying it's good. It's not good. Stop. What I'm saying is that they're saying a nice thing to you, or they're saying a horrific thing to you in a nice way, and you're like, I'm still part of these people. It's just a minor disagreement. He just doesn't think I should have. I'm not a human to that person, but he said it nicely to me. Like, do you not understand? Like, do you not see how you are a literal brainwashed worm? Like, you don't get it. You're like, I really like the right. There's so many people who wish I couldn't speak my mind and vote. That's your perspective. I'm not saying jump to the left and be like, oh, this is a slur. That's ridiculous. There's obviously somewhere in the middle there that you can go. But that's just fucking insane to me, Jillian. Like, do you not realize how much of that makes you look pathetic? Anybody who's willing to rub elbows with somebody who doesn't believe that they should have fundamental human rights makes you a loser.
What? I'm like,
sure,
and when he said, I was like, what are you saying? I didn't understand what he was even saying. What is this?
I'm glad we had the conversation before this kind of about dogmas and worldview and belief, right?
Right.
Feminism is a dogma, and it's a very religious dogma.
It's interesting how religion is bad to Andrew Wilson when it's convenient, but then it's the most amazing thing in the entire world when it's also convenient.
Because it relies on the idea of egalitarianism and equity. And those are things we just grant ourselves. Like, people should have that because they should have that.
I get it.
But
when we're in the richest country in the whole world, yes, people should have things because we can afford them. And everybody should be able to at least have a somewhat equal starting foot. So
people don't really have a grounding for why they think that.
I literally just said it. Hey, I think that everybody should have a fair chance. What's interesting though is because Andrew does this a lot. Like, he will propose a concept to you. He does this a lot. He did this in our conversation. He'll propose a concept to you. In this case, the concept is some kind of equality. And you'll be like, this is so bad. They don't even understand why they want this. And you're like, well, I understand why. I want people to have a fair shake. I think that everybody should have the fairest shake they could possibly have. And so if we have the money, which we do, we can give billionaires tax breaks, and we're the richest country in the whole world. We should do things like, universal kindergarten or free school lunches, because that's massive in the development of a child, is getting proper food nutrition. Obviously, I got access to a lot of food, right? I think if we can afford it, we should do it. We should do that. And it's just, they can't even explain why they want that. Why does it have to seem complicated? Why do I have to give you a whole complicated rundown? The reason that he says that it's not a good response is because it's not wordy enough for him. He's writing an essay every time he talks. It's not about actually being intelligent. It's about sounding what he thinks is intelligent. So if you don't say enough word, smart. That's the whole concept. Okay, people who aren't able to explain things to you simply, without of course we can all elaborate, but if you can't explain something to somebody simply, then you're actually incredibly fucking stupid. And so if you always require a heightened conversation, like a heightened explanation in every instance, you're not really smart, right? You're obnoxious.
It just kind of beat into them as part of the new Americana.
Okay.
Or what we would point at as the emergence of after the post-war consensus of World War II. But to explain this and express this in like really kind of simplistic terms for the audience and for you, it's really in the definition. So I think for a person like you, you'd probably define feminism as just being, women having equal rights to men.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
That's what is that not it though?
That's not it.
That is it. That is the basics of what feminism is. It is working to provide women equal opportunity and rights that men have.
That's not it.
And that's why this disconnect happens, and why I'm always in debates. I'm always really clear on semantics.
Yeah, true.
Because you could be, and why I'm always in debates. I'm always really clear on semantics of what words mean. Because you could be saying that you're a feminist, and you may not have the context for what actual feminism is, and so you just think, hey, I just want to have like the right.
Well, Andrew Wilson. So this is like a game that he plays again. Like he's like, your feminism is fundamentally just like women wanting equal rights, and he's like, well, you don't actually know what you're talking about. So he pretends that he's completely deconstructing your moral foundation, so he doesn't have to actually argue your points. He's just like, well, actually, feminism is wordy. Women should be thankful that men don't rape them. That's pretty much his entire, that is effectively his anti-feminist take there.
Right to own property and
not
get raped by my husband.
Kinda,
right? So that's it. And that seems rational and reasonable, doesn't it? So
except Andrew Wilson doesn't think that you could rape your wife. So
I understand that, but here's what feminism actually is.
Okay,
feminism is a movement towards egalitarianism by deconstructing the patriarchy.
Oh,
That's the key.
What you're saying. Yeah. So
I don't think that you do. You have no idea what he's talking about.
Okay, by
the
deconstructing the
emasculation
patriarchy
of men.
Oh, that you conceded really. Wait, sorry. This not the most insane thing ever? She's like, I don't understand. Feminism is just women wanting rights, right? And he's like, actually, no, it's not. It's actually this. Oh, fuck! You're so right. She folded instantaneously. She folded instantly. There was nothing there. She's just like, oh, I was wrong. You don't actually believe in feminism, right? Like, you don't believe it. It's fine. But don't pretend that you are like some kind, like you just think feminism is a thing. You don't believe in feminism. You think it's wrong and stupid. So why pretend that you believe in it then? I don't understand. Oh, I'm supposed to survive. Okay.
The idea
I agree with you completely though.
Well, the idea here is there's an oppressor-oppressed
guys, instant fold.
class. That men are the oppressors of women. And since men are the oppressors
I don't think that men fundamentally are. I think men can be. I think Andrew Wilson wants to be. I think that's the only way that he, as a person, feels powerful, is if the world is designed to benefit him.
Women, men need to be moved out of the oppressive roles of women, of what they do bad to women.
I get it.
So when it creates the oppressor class, it's pointing to the oppressor class, now men, and saying bad, right?
Yep.
And it's saying the oppressed, good.
That's not what feminism is doing.
They're the ones who need liberation and things like this. And that's what it actually is, a deconstruction of patriarchal systems.
Okay.
Because otherwise you can't have an oppressor.
This is so performative. She has no conviction in any belief. She's actually a fucking lunatic. Holy shit.
And so you probably, in actuality, aren't a feminist. If you
I don't define myself that way actually at all. But but Crowder was like, "Are you a feminist?" And I didn't even know what I'm like, what does that mean? Because
like I do you not realize that makes you look stupid? Like you don't know what feminist is. I don't know. Hey, are you a feminist? I don't know. By the way, this is in response to Crowder thinking that women shouldn't be able to vote. So this is here's the conversation that she had. Hey, I don't think women should vote. Then Jillian's like, wait, I think they should. Oh, are you a feminist? What does that word mean? It just means that you want equality to men. I know Andrew likes to tie it to this patriarchal thing, and he makes it seem like it's anti-religion and all this other stuff, and you can do whatever you want. But like, you realize how stupid you look, right? Like when you're just like, I don't know what a basic thing is. What is a basic thing? What the fuck is this?
I didn't understand even how we got there, because there were certain things that I had taken umbrage with that Fuentes had said.
Like not wanting women to vote,
and then he said,
"Well, the reason I think he should, because I went and watched that, and maybe I can clarify something."
Yeah, I mean, I like Steven Crowder a lot, actually. I don't know. I was like, I watch you all the time.
I would consider him. I would
so
consider Steven at this point to be like, it is a very lonely industry, as you probably know.
I know.
It's not. It's not a lonely industry, and I'm bringing this up for a reason. It's not a lonely industry. The reason he's saying that is because Andrew spends all of his time online and he does not form relationships outside of the online world. He's obsessed with being online. It doesn't make his content better. It doesn't make him any better. He's already successful, but he spends all of his time online arguing with people. That's why it is lonely, because he's wasting his energy doing shit like that instead of actually forming human connections.
And I would consider Steven to just be like top notch. I just never trusted a guy more than him in this industry.
Yeah.
But
That's crazy. It's funny because like Crowder only was able to get successful because Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and it's like the next day he's out trying to do what Charlie Kirk is doing. So he really just became he was opportunistic. I think the next day after Kirk was assassinated, he was already like #1 podcast, like conservative podcast. Like he was instantly fucking grifting for that.
I understood where he was going with this. So what he's trying to show you is, if we have an oppressor-oppressed class, if we're looking at...
That's not what he was doing. He was saying that women shouldn't be able to vote. She literally said it before.
The patriarchy is oppressing women, right? And women are now the oppressed. The reason he's bringing up things like voting is he's saying he's challenging this dogma.
Okay.
Is it true that men and women are actually equal? And so from the Christian view, in my
yes, it is true.
view, the answer is no. We're ontologically equal. So what that means is like... I think that you have the same value in the spirit of God.
That's what people are saying when they talk about equality. You're not saying anything intelligent. Everybody's equal. When you say, well, we're not technically equal, we all know that. You're filling in a step that nobody needed filling in. People know that me as a 6'4" fucking, thick-thighed alpha Chad, that I'm equal to, some fucking homeless guy on the street. Right? That's how equality works. Humans are equal. We know, like, we have equal rights. It doesn't mean that everything that's going on with us is equal. But everybody knows this already. You're explaining something that doesn't need explanation. This is like one of those things that Andrew Wilson likes to do, is he likes to unnecessarily complicate like the conversation. That's really all it boils down to.
As I do. Okay. But I don't think that men and women have the same material value or impact on the world. They have completely different impacts on the world.
No, they don't. There are some things that are different, but they don't have completely different impacts. You work a job and you benefit society. It's not that fucking deep. For
instance, women are the only people who can give birth. Men can't do that. Okay,
so
they
can't.
They can't. And so,
so true.
Since they're the only ones who could do that, you would think that you would structure society in such a way that it was the most conducive to women doing that, because they're
I agree with this. The problem is that he doesn't agree with what he's saying. What he thinks is that we should try to exit women from the labor force and force them into just going into labor and be submissive to men. What I would say is, like, why aren't we talking about better protections for women in their jobs when they are pregnant to be able to come back, or like better maternity leave protocols or things of that nature? Or why isn't IVF free? Or why isn't healthcare cheaper? And why don't we structure it to make food healthier, for people, so that they don't have so many like mental health, or not even mental health, physical health problems that causes their kids to be born, with disabilities? Why don't we do all these different? Why don't we kind of reduce the way, especially now with amazing technology? Why don't we reduce or shift our way that we think about work, because we don't require as many people to work as long of hours because of technology? Why don't we use that technology to benefit people through some kind of maybe UBI or something along those lines, to reduce stress, so people don't prioritize going out, like working 80 hours a week if they don't have to? That's where they can be present parents, whether it's the male or the female. That's what it actually is. Andrew, what it means is, like, why don't we force them back into the kitchen like we used to do? Remember when society was worse and everybody was more miserable? What if we did that again? It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Cool, gotcha. Okay,
we're the only ones who...
That's incredible.
Can. And you would think you would structure society towards men doing the things which only men can. Now, generally, you're going to find...
What are things that only men can do?
Find that in, like, I don't know, oil rigging and construction and these horrible jobs where the death rates and mortality rates are just over the top.
For sure. That's because of shitty oil companies. That's where the mortality rates are. I don't think they're as bad in construction as they are in oil rigging. Women can do oil rigging. We have technologies that would make oil rigging safer. We don't implement technologies that do that. Wow, the fuck. We don't implement technologies that do that in a productive way, because oil companies want to make money. That is why we attacked Venezuela, so that we can have control of their oil. We don't really care about any harm going on. Okay, oil companies get a free pass to do whatever the fuck they want. Right? Do we understand this? Also, how many men are oil riggers? The 99% of the jobs that exist, both men and women can do. The gap has changed with technology. That's what it comes down to.
Female deaths in the workplace account for almost none of them because they don't do any of those horrendously stressful and over the top jobs.
Most men don't do those jobs either. I hate it when we pretend that it's like all men are able to basically have stolen valor for some of the most difficult jobs that exist in the world. It's like, oh, well, so there's a very small portion of men do very dangerous jobs. That means that women, that just means that men are all better. Well, most men aren't doing those jobs. So like, why are we pretending? Why are we talking like this? Why are we doing stolen valor?
They're not equipped for that. That's not their thing. So what Stephen's doing is he's drawing a parallel to kind of show you this. He's saying, if it's the case that men can be drafted, right, and sent to war, and every man must sign up for the draft, so they
you really don't have to
all have the potential to go to war, then why can women who can't be drafted vote to send men to war? Isn't that fundamentally unfair?
Well, one, we don't actually rely on the draft anymore, except for Trump is now forcibly doing that. That's number one. Number two, women vote against war more than men do. This doesn't even make sense because women are exponentially more likely to vote against war. Hey guys, if men have to sign up for a draft, which we don't use, except for now that we have Donald Trump, a guy that he loves and supports, who is sending us into war, now making the draft automatic, where like you didn't have to apply to the draft, they would not punish you. There was no actual punishment. We shouldn't let women vote because they can't get drafted. Wait, that's really crazy. Can I get drafted? Can you get drafted? Oh wait, no, because the draft is an age limit. So maybe we shouldn't be able to vote. Maybe we shouldn't be able to vote either. Oh wait a minute, women also vote against war at a higher rate than men. Oh fuck, none of this makes sense anymore. Now, of course, the most logical solution, by your logic, is to just make it so women have to apply for the draft, or that women are they have to get drafted. No, but we can't do that. We have to rationalize why women shouldn't be able to vote, even though women, again, vote against war. We are aging out of war. Realistically speaking, war really isn't going to be happening if society continues to function properly in any meaningful capacity. Like you look at Russia, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine that Russia started, they're using drones. War is shifting. This is like the last generation, probably, that's going to have people fighting wars in any meaningful capacity. We're using drone strikes at a greater rate. So what he says makes no fucking sense to anybody. It doesn't make any sense.
From the prism of both the feminists, but isn't that also devaluing men? It's saying that men are cogs, which can now be used for women who are elevated above them and elevated away from what their goals are supposed to be in society.
What is happening?
And that makes a lot of sense when you start to break it down, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. Right now, what Andrew Wilson is doing is he's talking in a calm tone, like a baby, like somebody talks to a baby about removing Jillian Michaels' fundamental rights to be able to vote and be considered an equal in this country, and she's taking it like a good girl. And you could see it going through her face that this is her job now, and she has to take it like a good girl, or else she's not going to be able to function because she literally is a fucking moron and can't do anything outside of grift for a MAGA, a dying platform. In a couple of years, maybe these people are going to be the pinnacle of a fucking joke, and that they're already on their way.
Well, here's my question though.
Sure.
So of course I get that one piece, but what about all the other stuff that goes along with it? Then women have no say in how their society functions or who leads them. Or so, for example, if I was still living in California, I do not want a governor that replicates the policies of Gavin Newsom, right? I would want to vote on that. That would mean a lot to me because I would.
Well, who do you think votes Democrat in California?
I know, but all the more reason, why you should want votes that go in the opposite direction. And the point being, like,
his point is that like women will vote more to the left, so. Why would you want more of that? If you've restricted yourself from being able to vote, look, you get what you wanted, right?
Yes, I appreciate the draft component. But aren't women, I thought, by the way, quick sidebar, I thought there was a conversation to draft women. Because I'd had this conversation with Sebastian Younger like a year.
He's just going to say, oh, women shouldn't be in the military because they are not capable. That's what he's going to say there.
The military wouldn't want to do it because, let's just say they did.
Okay.
Just kind of grant that they did. They're still not going to send women into combat roles. And so it's the
99% of roles in the military are not combat roles.
Fundamental unfairness.
And those are changing even more every single day because we have technology.
Would still be there. And the reason they can't do that, right, is if you had a real war, not like playing in the sand where you have 2,500 deaths in 10 years, but like a real war. The first thing that the enemy would do to demoralize your troops is they would capture your female soldiers, they would rape them and send them home pregnant. Like that.
Why do you always think about rape, Andrew? That would just literally never happen. They would just magically break in and steal all the women, and I guess they would just win. They would just win a battle and get all their women. and they would just rape them. He thinks about rape all the time. This guy tells women they should be thankful that men don't rape them. This guy is rape obsessed. He's actually an unhinged rape obsessed lunatic freak. Oh, he will not stop talking about raping women. It's insane. This would obviously never happen. If anything, you wanted to talk about the real thing. You know how demoralizing it is to a society that hates women to be killed by a woman? Right? So you're like, well, why wouldn't that be the first thing? Yeah, we should have more women in combat roles, because if a woman kills a man in a country that hates women, they will feel like that they are less than a man. Right? But no, Andrew Wilson has rape brain. He thinks about rape constantly. Like, it's actually insane. He will not stop thinking about and talking about rape. It's like the number one thing on his fucking mind is just rape. This is insane. Holy fuck. Oh my God. Jesus fucking Christ. Holy fuck.
Enemy would do to demoralize your troops is they would capture your female soldiers, they would rape them and send them home pregnant.
It's also very interesting that he said the word rape. I know that on the whatever podcast they like to pretend that if you say the word rape, an hour into your interview that you're going to get demonetized, which is not true. But he even does it in like conversations with other people. He says the word rape a lot. Even like with me, he said it, even though he didn't need to say that. He doesn't put his conversations like publicly. He takes like a bit of it and then he puts it on his YouTube channel, and then he like plugs the full conversation in like some other alternative media source. And so like, it's very interesting that he knows that he can't play the grape game when he's like on Jillian Michaels' show because he wants to look professional. But every other time outside of that, he's saying grape. And I think it's just like a way to try to like almost infantilize what rape is and try to make it seem like it's not as big of a deal.
Like, that's factually what they would do.
Yeah.
I know I'm
actually, and that's not factually. He's being fucking stupid.
I'm being very blunt here.
No, I know.
But that is in fact.
I know. This makes so much sense, Andrew. I just don't think about rape as much as you, Andrew. I know.
What they would do. And so they're never going to have en masse women in frontline roles in combat, even in Israel.
We're literally moving away. Why are we talking about Israel? What the fuck? We're literally moving away from people having to be in combat roles. So this doesn't even make sense. We're having technology do this.
Where they proclaim that that's the case. The distinctions between the soldiers are so over the top that they can't hide it either. We've never had a female Navy SEAL for a reason. They can't cut the mustard. But there's something kind of there that.
Okay, are most men Navy SEALs?
You touched on that. I want to touch on. That's a good point. A good counterpoint that you make. You say, but what about the fact that I want to have say in society? I want to have say in what's going on with the social order. I want to have say in what's going on. I think that that's a fair criticism from a feminist position, but I'm going to give you some counter evidence here that might maybe change your mind.
Okay.
Before women could vote, they got an amendment passed, and the amendment was to ban alcohol in the United States. That was the amendment that they got passed before the 19th. So before they were ever even allowed to vote, they had so much influence in society that they were still able to do one of the rarest and most difficult things to do politically, which was pass an amendment, get one passed. That was
crazy. Okay, this makes sense. So women didn't have national voting rights, but they could still vote in local elections, which are factually generally more influential in your sphere. So they could still have an impact on local legislators. Right? So you might not be able to vote for the president, but if you can vote for people in Congress, they might be like, oh, I have to advocate for these women's rights beforehand. So he's making it seem like women couldn't vote in any capacity. Also, like, once alcohol was banned, it was a huge financial market for a lot of people to smuggle it in and charge a lot more for the same amount of alcohol. So he makes it seem like this wasn't some kind of like, let's be fucking woke here. It's some kind of capitalist fucking shit. What?
That was women and the women's temperance movement that did that. And the reason women had so much more authority in society and control in society absent the vote, the anti-suffragettes, the ones who were against women voting, which were mostly women, by the way, made this point pretty precisely. They said, well, we have the moral high ground. So we're looked to as the moral figures of society. We're the matrons of society. What? Even bad men love their mamas, right? And when we say that there's
apparently not
something here that's going on that's morally deviant, or you need to morally stray away from, or things like this, society really stops and listens because we're not cogs in the political wheel. And they really had that sort of authority. So I would argue that women actually pre-universal suffrage had a much larger say over how society looked and how it was shaped.
They were able to vote. They were able to vote in local elections still. Like he's pretending that voting didn't have the impact. What the fuck is he talking about? But I guess he just likes to lie. Okay.
And their influence in it.
This guy's such a liar. Holy fuck.
And they do now that they're just considered a voting bloc to be pandered to. So that would be my argument back.
Yeah. So he's just lying to you, Jillian. I just need you to understand. Andrew just lies. He just lies to people. So you're getting lied to right now, and you're gonna suck it up like a good girl.
Okay. I don't know. Okay. So the one thing that I do.
This is why you can't talk to somebody like Andrew Wilson. He will just lie to you. That's all he'll do. He will just lie to you. So there's no reason to bother talking to him.
You think is happening? I wasn't prepared to debate this, but since we're allowed to have this, since we're having this conversation,
sure.
I think we have a lot of influence, arguably, almost to our detriment. Dr. Drew and I got in a conversation about this, and he was talking about the over-feminization, right? And you're talking about the emasculation. So I don't necessarily know that I would agree that we had more influence then. I would almost argue we have more influence now to our own detriment because we're feminizing kids in school. You've got this very female sort of...
Who the fuck is feminizing kids in school?
...of ideology. Carolla talks about it, about how, we don't let boys be boys, we don't let men be men.
Adam Carolla talks about it? What the fuck are we talking about? That's a base comment. It's wild how a woman so athletically strong could be folded by such a weak man like Andrew Wilson. If you voted for Trump, you should get drafted first. That's true.
So I would almost suggest that we have too much influence socially, and you're even...
That's what he's saying to you. He's saying you shouldn't be able to vote because you guys have too much power. So you're just like agreeing with him, I guess. Okay.
Making a case.
So wouldn't we lessen that through lessening voting privileges for women?
No, I think we would lessen that. No, I would say, but we're not voting on these things. This is like an ideology. We're not voting on how we're teaching our kids in schools or what we are.
But we do.
What the? Are you fucking stupid? We do. What are you talking about? I'm convinced that these people just don't understand what voting is. I don't think that they understand what voting is. I don't think that they get it. They think that voting is just like a meme. They don't understand that voting is what changes things. You are generally voting on what gets taught in particular schools. You can vote for and against different things, right? The problem is that what you guys think is happening isn't happening. So that's why we're feminizing kids in school. Nobody's. What are you fucking talking about, bro? You're just saying words. You're just vomiting words.
There's a gender divide in voting, massive, sex gender divide, not gender the way progressives use it. I'm just using it interchangeably with sex here, but there's a divide between how men and women vote. And women overwhelmingly vote left and men don't. And so the thing is it's because we see the prism of the world differently.
Okay.
When you think about how early America was structured, nobody was allowed to vote except stakeholders inside of the United States. They didn't let anybody vote. They didn't.
Wow, that's really stupid that you would just let people that have all the access to the assets vote. In a time where jobs are dying because of technology. That might seem like kind of a bad idea, don't you think?
Yeah, it's man or woman. And men only got the right to vote universally shortly before women did. It's not like they were always able to. Most men could never vote either. The idea here that the founders had was that inside of this nation, they did not trust the electorate to make great decisions. The states were the ones who sent up the elected officials, not the people. That was never how it was designed to work inside the republic anyway. So what's happened with the expansion of voting rights and universal suffrage is you've given complete morons now the ability to have a say over your life.
Yes, that is why MAGA is implemented. Yes.
And let me give you an example of this. Why?
Yeah, he's proving why MAGA got voted on. Morons were able to vote. Now, here's the thing. Not all people who voted MAGA are stupid. I want you to understand this. If we look at what's going on in the world right now, when it comes to Trump, what's going on? What's good? Nothing, unless you're a white supremacist, right? What's going on? The economy is worse because of these tariffs, right? We have the president's putting in tariffs that he doesn't even he can't even constitutionally do. He's supposed to go through Congress, and he's not doing that. He's attacking other countries to take their oil, like Venezuela. We can talk about how some of these governments are bad, but that was the reason he went in there. He's attacking Iran because he wants to distract from Epstein. We know that they were no threat. He said the year before he actually eliminated the threat, so we know he didn't go in for that. And the economy is worse off because of the Strait of Hormuz. He's posting weird AI memes of him being Jesus Christ. Immigration is really not a huge problem. I mean, we needed to do something about it. Trump doesn't really care about that because he told Republicans to shoot down a really good bill that was getting ready to pass under Biden that would have solved the problem at the border. Right. But what's worse now? What is really going on? The economy is worse. Everything is worse. We're really not solving any problems. Everybody's turning against him, even people like Nick Fuentes and those other people. But there are some good things if you are a white supremacist. They are rolling back women's rights, like abortion. It doesn't matter if you think that it's justified or not. That is a rolling back of rights. DEI protections have been rolled back. We are going into more wars. We are destroying our relationships with every other country. So if you are a weird white nationalist that wants to remove global trading, even if it destroys the economy, and you want to put a red dot on immigrants, illegal or otherwise. You want to justify calling them all rapists and thieves rather than just saying like, hey, we shouldn't have them here. You want to call them horrible things. You're winning. If you're a white nationalist, you're winning, right? And so like, they're not all stupid. Andrew Wilson, I guarantee you, is pretty happy with the fact that our economy is doing worse. He's a rich guy, as long as it reduces brown people wanting to come here and it destroys relations with the rest of the world so that we can pretend that somehow is going to make us prosper more. So, something to keep in mind. But yeah, morons are ruining the country.
Why should an 18-year-old be able to negate your vote? Why? Like, is an 18-year-old...
Don't they pay taxes?
...smart enough to actually... make an informed decision that negates your well-informed vote?
I'm so sorry. Did we just hit cognitive dissonance here? Didn't Andrew Wilson just talk about earlier in this conversation? He mentioned that we are infantilizing the youth, young people who are still adults. Now all of a sudden, and like that's the biggest problem with society, that we're infantilizing young people. Now all of a sudden, 18-year-olds are too young, dumb, and stupid, and they're basically babies that shouldn't be able to vote. Wait a minute. Holy fuck. Wait a minute. It's almost like Andrew Wilson doesn't ground his reality in facts. He just says things that make him feel good. Oh, shit. That's fucking crazy, Andrew. Wow. That's amazing. Wait, don't you think 18-year-old girls should marry 35-year-old or should be able to? I mean, I also think that. But isn't this you infantilizing the 18-year-old voter? I'm very confused. They can't vote, but they can have sex. I'm just confused. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't think that you have any actual foundation for what you're saying. But if you give it a few days of arguing on Twitter for 5 hours a day, maybe you'll come up with one.
Don't you think that that's really stupid and counterproductive and counterintuitive? And it's recent.
Well,
like this is
wait, why are we infantilizing the youth?
This is a product of modernity. It's not like this was always this way.
What the fuck?
It's only been recently this way.
Wow.
Why do we even bother? Well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Really? Because the country is better off now than it ever has been, but okay.
Why wouldn't you at least wait until a person was in their 30s to vote, or they had some stake in society, male or female, before they were allowed to even cast a vote? Why does this idea that everybody, just because they're alive, needs to have a say in everything? We don't run society that way with any...
Well, we don't do that, right? They're not just alive, right? They have to be 18.
Thing else. For instance, you're a person who knows a lot about fitness. I know a lot about eating, but I don't know a lot about fitness. Okay. But what I can tell you is that if I went in to wherever you were giving a class on fitness and I decided to weigh in on whatever that was, why would I be taken seriously? Right? I'm not informed enough to be going in and trying to tell you what's what in that capacity. That's not my place. It's not my domain.
Well, here's the thing. You don't engage in any fitness spaces, so you wouldn't have a say on fitness spaces. People do engage in society, right? Hey, I'm 18. I pay my taxes. I work a job. I go to school. Everything in society impacts me and it affects me. It does something to me. I have a level of education on things because I've lived it in the real world. I should be able to vote on those. Oh, okay. You don't go to a gym, Andrew. You smoke cigarettes all day and sit on Twitter. I don't understand.
And why wouldn't we do voting the same way or political participation? This is one of those things which is so dogmatic in people. They don't even...
It's not. He sounds so dumb.
...know why. And it's just because you were raised that way. You're raised...
That's why people believe in religion.
Used to think everybody should have a say. Because you're alive, you should have a say. But when you really start reducing it, it makes less and less sense that everyone has a say. In fact...
Not really.
Most people probably...
I should believe this because MAGA is destroying the country.
Probably shouldn't have a say.
I know. I hear you on this front, but okay, so if I'm not...
What?
Has a say. In fact, most people probably shouldn't have a say.
I know. I hear you on this front, but okay.
Everything is a power grab to these people. They're afraid of playing fair. That's what it comes down to. Andrew's afraid of playing fair. That's it. He wants a white nationalist, fucking Christian nationalist country that is worse off than it is now, but it does align with his book, the Magical Apple Curse book. So of course it needs to be this way because he's terrified. But what you need to know right now is there's a reason that Andrew Wilson is terrified. And I want to explain it to you. Andrew Wilson is terrified because he is now an upperclassman. He's a millionaire. I would imagine he's very successful. He's talking to amazing content creators like Jillian Michaels. He's also on Joe Rogan. He's a millionaire. Millionaires and billionaires are afraid. Why do you think that you have all these weird leftist millionaire virtue signalers talking about how they're actually not the elite class? Right? To their credit, they're not avoiding their taxes like billionaires. But it's because they know that they're the upper echelon. As society gets more and more fucked, who are the most accessible people that represent money in the country? You think you're going to be able to get to Elon Musk, who can pay people to the point that they're millionaires and not break a sweat on his income? No. The first people that have access are the millionaires. It's the healthcare CEOs that get shot because it's their job to make it so that you stay sick so they get another yacht. That's his vested interest. He is fucking terrified every single day. A lot of these MAGA freaks are fucking terrified. That's why they want to change the system. That's why they don't want justice for those women who were raped on Epstein's Island. They don't want to release the client list, even though Trump promised, because he's probably on the client list. They don't want you to know that Trump's making billions of dollars through, making meme coins, where people who give him meme coin money get to have one-on-one sit-downs with him. He did this last year. They don't want you to. They don't want law and order. They want to pardon J6ers. They want you to think that they're the good slave drivers. He's terrified, and you could see it in his fucking face. His life is flashing before his eyes. So just be aware of that. And also be aware of the fact that welfare is not a handout. Welfare is a promise not to topple billionaires. We went, welfare it's a handout. It's a handout. Really? So interesting, because corporate welfare is much more problematic. What, right? Like, how much money does Walmart get from people spending food stamps? Hey, how many people that work for Walmart actually need welfare because they don't get paid? Oh, okay. Enough? Okay. Right. Keep all these different things in mind.
Okay, so if I'm that 18-year-old kid, then I'm looking back at you going, well, I'm the one they're drafting, so I get a say. Okay.
If you're a male.
Okay, so if you say 18-year-old male, but as a woman, if you then say...
When was the last time there was a draft, Andrew?
Okay, well, you guys might be the ones going into combat, but we're the ones having babies, and we're the ones raising children in this world, so we should have a say. Like, if we play this game of tit for...
Actually, that's a fantastic point. I'm surprised at what she just said. That's a fantastic point. Jillian Michaels has actually made an incredible point. Her point is that there are some jobs that men can do and women can't. Now, we're going to talk about the military. Women can be in the military, but for the sake of argument, they can't. Men can't have babies, right? So when we vote in society, yeah, women can vote to send men to war, even though they can't go to war in this scenario, even though women vote for war less. But also, men can vote on women's reproductive rights, which we see that. Like, abortion is effectively illegal, at least in some states. But it doesn't even have to be that. Like, what about IVF health coverage? You know what I mean? There's a plenty of different things. So, like, why shouldn't women be able to vote? She makes this is an incredible point here. I would love to see how Andrew contends with it.
For Tad, well, you do this. Oh, yeah, well, I only do that. So then I only get a right to say what happens with kids. That, like, I just don't know where that goes. And then
I want to see his response.
The problem is that voting is...
Well, I can tell you where it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't want to hear where it goes. I want to hear your response to that. He's not going to respond to it, is he?
Okay, because voting isn't specific, though. It's not, like, just fitness. It's not narrow. It's broad. It's everything.
Yeah, that makes it worse. The fact that you let 18-year-olds have more of a say over...
Boom. This is it. He knows that he can't contest. He moves on. He's debate molesting her right now. He's not going to answer that question because it's a fantastic question that she's asking.
For things that they definitely don't know anything about. Like, for instance, don't you think there's something fundamentally unfair about the fact that inside of a locality, people can go and vote? Let's say there's more renters.
Boom. We don't have to. I wanted to play that more because he just dodges a fantastic question from Jillian Michaels. He just dodges it. And here's the thing. If you're somebody like Jillian Michaels that comes into this, like everything aside, especially when you have when you have your first conversation with somebody, you're not going to be in debate bro mode. I don't think that Jillian Michaels is a debate bro, right? Most people are just like, okay, let me see what this person has to say. Let's see if they're honest. Andrew Wilson is not honest. He lied like 5 times already in this conversation. So she's not pushing back because she's like, oh, most people try to tell the truth. Andrew doesn't. He lies about everything. So she's sitting here and she's just letting it happen, and she doesn't even realize that she's letting it happen. This is why it's not worth talking to this person at all.
Don't you think there's something fundamentally unfair about the fact that inside of a locality, people can go and vote? Let's say there's more renters in an area than there are owners, that the renters can go and up the property taxes of the owners?
That literally... What? Sorry.
Thus, people can go and vote. Let's say there's more renters in an area than there are owners.
Oh, so just to be clear, he doesn't know what a renter is. Somebody who is renting to him is a renter. A renter is somebody who rents out, but he's using that word incorrectly. I just say, for the guy who loves semantics and use proper word usage, I have no idea what he's talking about. Okay, so he's saying in an area where there's more people renting from the renters, don't you think it's preposterous that those people renting can have a impact on the renters by increasing their property tax. Now, of course, that's not what people are doing. They're going to try to make it so that they can have less rent to pay. And there's an abusive system where there are people who rent out properties, even though they provide no meaningful value to society. But he's going to change what that sounds like.
That the renters can go and up the property taxes of the owners, thus exempting themselves from the tax that then they get the windfall of, right? This is not the...
See, and another reason he's bringing it up like this is because he's trying to make it seem like, oh, these people who are renting, not renters, are stupid, and they actually vote against their best interest because they're so dumb. This is why you should just let an elite class rule the world, which is what we founded our country against doing. That's why we founded this country, to be against that.
The way that we were supposed to set this nation up. We're not supposed to set the nation up as a small conglomeration of voting blocks who are all in an infinite war with each other over power.
Yes, we were. Yes, we were. I know that you're framing it like it's crazy. What you said sounds crazy. What it actually is it's a group of people with different opinions and ideas that are constantly voting to be able to advocate for themselves, and then we meet a compromise. We meet a compromise. The way he phrases it's like, it's crazy. Just give me the voting power. He's a fucking snake oil salesman, except he dumped it all over his head, and that's why he's got such greasy hair.
That's what universal suffrage did. It was a terrible idea for men and women, by the way. I don't think that either of them should just have some universal right to vote. That's silly. And if you're going to structure society, right now in the United States, our birth rate's in the toilet. The reason we have a mass migration problem is because we can't reproduce ourselves.
We can reproduce ourselves. We can do it, but it's not. We don't have a mass migration problem. Just to be absolutely clear, immigrants coming here is not a huge problem. We're not having a huge problem with immigrants existing, right? Just to be absolutely clear. But yes, we could increase the birth rate. How would you do that? Probably more structures to help, women who are pregnant not lose their jobs if they leave, or to give them more proper maternity leave, or healthier foods, or all these different things that would be infinitely more beneficial than, I guess, going back to a time where I guess the age of consent was 7 years old, like when the country was founded as a Christian country that Andrew loves to talk about.
Right. What we do is we take women in their childbearing years, that's going to be their 20s, and tell them to go to college.
Right.
Well, what they do is they waste all of their childbearing years, usually up until 27, 28.
Wow.
So going through school and then establishing a career.
Wow.
They don't
it's also very expensive to raise kids. That's another reason why.
And have their first child until 29, 30, 31, 32.
Wow. You want to know what's really interesting? And this is gonna seem like a regressive thing that I'm about to say, but I'm a little bit of a traditional man. I think that the overwhelming majority of women want to be stay-at-home mommies that don't have to work and they just provide for their husband. I genuinely believe that. I actually believe that the overwhelming majority of women want to stay home and take care of a house and a home and kids, and they would love that. Right? And so you'd say, Papa, you sound conservative. What I also think is the reason why women wanted the right to work is because disgusting men, people like Andrew Wilson, who is consistently says that women should be thankful men don't rape them, control the households. Weak, disgusting men who are fucking worthless and think that women should be able to be religiously abused, that consent is just a given once you're married, right? So that's why women wanted to work. They didn't want to work because they want to work. They wanted to work because people like Andrew Wilson will abuse the fuck out of them in a relationship. They can't trust the men. Unfortunately, a lot of men can't be trusted to have the power of being a financial provider because it can be complicated. A lot of these men think that because they make money, that their role as a man is more important than the role of a woman, that it's easy to raise kids and be basically working 24/7. That's why we have this, right? I just wanted to be clear, and it's like the men. Unfortunately, if you want to be the person that thinks that men are the most incredible movers of the world, understand that means that there's higher responsibility on these men, and the failures of men are creating these problems in society. Feminism isn't a product of women. Feminism is a product of failures of men abusing women and women wanting to fight back. Men are abusing their power. Okay, so if you want to actually increase the birth rates, then stop letting men be worthless pieces of shit.
A career, they don't even have their first child until 29, 30, 31, 30.
Whoa, incredible.
32. Well, if you're going to have a good rebound from childbirth, If you do it at 22, as you probably...
Why does it really matter? Why does it matter? Like, what's wrong with having immigrants come to this country and subsidize our birth rates? Like, that's something I'm not understanding. Like, what's the issue? What are they? They cause less crime overall, immigrants. So I don't really understand what the problem is here that they're coming here. Is because they're just not white looking? Oh, fuck. Oh.
Probably know. It's a lot easier for women than if they do it at 32 or 35. They rebound much quicker. They can have many more children. They can establish themselves much earlier in these family dynamics. What I'm looking at...
Wait, how old... Wait, you're like 40. How old are your kids? When did you have your kids, the kids that biologically with your wife? Not the ones that from her other two marriages. What is it? What are we talking about here? Did you have kids when you were 30? Because Charlie Kirk used to say this all the time. Oh, women need to have kids, when they're younger, blah, blah, blah. And then he had his kids at like 30 years old. His wife was like 30. His wife is older than him, or was, I guess. Well, she's more older than him now, I guess. So, like, how old are your kids?
That is the overage of what's good for society in general. You can have the kids. We can't. But we can do the wars, and you can't. We can do the protection. You can't. Women have an elevation of privilege inside of society that men don't have. When the Titanic goes down, you get the lifeboats, and so do the kids. We go down.
Wasn't the Titanic back in a time where women had less rights, though? I don't understand. Also, first of all, I don't know if you guys know this. The Titanic is not a normal situation. And also, men built those boats, and the boat failed. Right? Like, it's not just about hitting an iceberg. It was also like not created correctly, and it created a lot of infrastructure problems. And men made the decision not to have enough lifeboats on the boat as well. Holy fuck, wait a minute. Wait, men were the problem. Men didn't build the boat the right way. Men steered themselves into an iceberg. Men didn't equip their boats with enough life support. And then women come first because not only do women have fewer rights, but also they can make kids. 1 man and 10 women can make more kids than 10 men and 1 woman, which means that it sounds like women are more valuable. You need more women in society. So I don't really understand. This is also an extreme situation. Right? We're not Titanicing every other day. This is the same thing as like men will fight for women. We could do the laundry for women. How about that? How about help your wife not want to kill herself because she has to do all of the work around the house 24/7, especially when you have young kids. No, it's not that. It's just like it's a power fantasy. Well, men can do this, but you're never going to do that. You're never going to be in a position, Andrew, where you're going to have to fight to the death for your wife. Right? She does all of the chores around the house for you. You do literally nothing, but you make more money, so you justify it because you're weak and you're fucking lazy. What the fuck are we talking about? Also, men do be starting wars.
The ship. Men are set as the expendable fixture in society, and women the privilege. But you can't ask for the privilege and then not reciprocate that men have the authority.
I guess you can, because there are privileges that men have and women have. Men make more money. They do jobs that pay more, right? Like, different people have different privileges, but okay.
And so the idea is, who has the authority? You can have either privilege or authority, but you can't have both.
Okay.
Okay. I guess. I think that men and women both have different privileges, right? So.
Okay. So if I'm 22, I'm going to be the worst parent on the planet.
What?
Well, I mean,
this is a good point, actually. She's like, hey, it actually might not be a bad thing if we wait to have kids.
I would have been.
Why?
Oh my God.
Why? Because you're immature and you're dumb. But Andrew, I guess, doesn't care about that.
It was just a complete. We're saying 18-year-olds can't vote. We want them 4 years later to raise a kid.
Holy fuck! She's destroying him in this debate. What the fuck?
I certainly didn't have the mental capacity.
Well, I mean that.
Holy shit, dude! She's fucking destroying him in the debate. This is by the way, this is she literally came up on that argument. Like, yeah, you're saying that we infantilize society. Now you're saying 18-year-olds are too stupid to vote. Now you're saying women should be able to have kids, but you just said they're too stupid to vote. But then you also said they're infantilizing society. Like, where are we here?
That's 4 years. If you raise the voting age to like 24 or 25, that would be a lot better.
I don't know. My mom had me.
Okay, then why would? But like, so wait. So you shouldn't have people vote at 18 because they're too young and stupid, but you should have them have kids at 18. I'm so how does that make sense? This doesn't make any sense to anybody.
25. I think, listen, I'm glad to be alive, but I definitely think I could have benefited from a little more maturity there. I would question. I get what you're saying from a biological perspective. From a psychological perspective, I think there's a lot more maturity that comes along with a little bit of age. I wonder, where the sweet spot is, and everybody's ready for kids at a different time.
Yeah, but I mean, do you want people to have to raise kids into their 50s and 60s?
What if you dig it? I like it.
Grandparents help raise kids. I don't understand what we're talking about. Also, 50s and 60s, like, we have more technology than ever. People are living longer than ever. People at 50 nowadays is like the same health as somebody at 30, like 200 years ago. The fuck does it matter?
About how silly that is. Like, why wouldn't you want people, like, for me, I had my children young. Okay. I'm going to be
all of them
done, right? Like, I'm going to be
Wait, what about your grandchildren?
Done in my early 40s. I'm going to go travel, go do this, go do that, go do whatever.
done at 18. I guess he has at 22. Is that what he's saying? Early 40s. What does early 40s mean? Wait, what is wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm going to be done in my early 40s. Why, what?
Why wouldn't you want people, like for me, I had my children young. Okay. I'm going to be done, right? Like I'm going to be done in my early 40s.
I don't want to hear that. I want to hear the exact year that you're going to be done. And the reason I'm saying this is, what is early 40s? So if it was literally 40 and he had to, done is 18. That's how I'm going to interpret it. You had him at 40, you'd be 22. But early 40s, 24. So you had him at 26. But aren't you saying to have babies at 18? I don't know. I feel like we're not getting enough context. I'm curious about how old he actually was when he had his first kid. He doesn't really care for his kids anyway. He's just on Twitter all day. So he already neglects his fucking kids and his wife.
And go travel, go do this, go do that, go do whatever I want. And it's like, look, the truth is that children, for one thing, they're good for parents. They help with that maturation process. They don't take away from it. They assist with it. They assist with the responsibility.
So why don't we give people the financial ability to be able to raise kids?
Process. They help with all of those things. Also, it's actually, in many cases, I would argue, good to have youthful parents. They can chase you around. They can help you with this. They can help you with that. The one downside now is that they don't.
Okay, so then, like, what if we made it easier for people to survive financially? Like, why isn't that? How come conservatives never bring that up? No, conservatives never bring out how rough the economy is and how it's like worse now under Trump. They don't like to bring that up, and that would decentivize people from having kids because it's like too expensive to afford things. They never bring it up. They want like some kind of religious control, but they never bring up that it's expensive and people don't want to have kids because of that expense.
They don't have as many resources, which is why there's more age gap relationships going on, which I don't have a big issue with. But I'm just pointing out
there's always been age. I would argue there's probably fewer age gap relationships. What are you talking about?
That seems backwards to me. It seems like if you want to structure society, you'd want to structure society around having the most amount of children for your nation. That's going to drastically increase your tax base. It's going to increase patriotism. It's going to increase the wholesome American family unit, which is the backbone of American society. It's going to do all.
No, it's not. You're not going to increase a wholesome American family unit if people can't afford to live. Having more kids doesn't increase that family unit. Being able to function in society and feel like you're in a society that can function for you is what's going to increase that.
All these things that you want to do to help fix these issues. And yet, for some reason, generally, progressives are very resistant to this. And I think it's because indoctrination towards the youth through the school system is why you see so many women vote left. The institutions are completely indoctrinated with left-wing think tanks. And so why
maybe more men should be teachers? How come women gravitate towards being teachers? That's so interesting. Is it that men can't do the job or something? I don't understand.
Wouldn't they encourage all women to go to college? That's where they're going to be able to get their best voting block.
Okay.
Everything's a conspiracy. I find it so funny.
So let me try to tackle these things one thought at a time. So
sure.
Forgive me if I'm looking at like these young girls. They're sitting here thinking, you're telling me I can't get an education. You're telling me I can't vote.
Yes.
You're telling me
he wants to restrict our rights.
Still get an education. What I would do is I would just do this a different way. I would just be like, look, instead of the
he just let her finish, dude. Why do you have to completely steamroll the conversation?
Government, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're not.
He didn't mean to cut her off.
Off at all. No. I want to like. I'm sure because my thought is this will create
you can still
more
get an education.
feminists.
What I would do.
He's just cutting her off again after she started talking.
Is instead of having the government come in and do predatory student loans towards 17, 18-year-old girls. Okay.
Yeah.
What about the boys?
That they then spend the next 20 years of their lives trying to pay back for degrees.
What about the boys?
In fields that they mostly don't go into.
What about the boys?
No.
What about the boys? What would you change about the boy? Why would you only want to stop predatory student loans for girls?
Agree with you.
Yeah. How's
that?
Lose me at all. So think about how silly it is that we're telling, on the one hand, no, 18-year-olds are not mature enough to make a decision about.
You're the one saying that. You're saying that they shouldn't be able to vote.
Having children, but they're mature enough to vote and they're mature enough to take on these predatory student loans. That's silly.
I'm so confused. You just said we were infantilizing society before. You're the one that's saying that they should have more agency over themselves. He just backtracks. He just constantly backtracks. There's nothing consistent about anything he says.
Right. So they get these student loans, and again, they don't go into the fields, and they mostly get them in nonsense, right?
So I already know what his response would be like, oh, well, I'm not talking about my worldview. I'm talking about your worldview. You think this. And that's how he avoids actually answering the questions. That's what he does.
Psychology, sociology, things which are basically useless might as well be basket weaving because the market's so...
Sorry, what's useless?
Get these student loans, and again, they don't go into the fields, and they mostly get them in nonsense, right? Psychology.
Psychology is nonsense?
Sociology.
I would have said gender studies, but psychology is nonsense? Psychology? Again, I was expecting him to do like the gender studies thing. But you think that psychology and sociology, degrees that can actually make you decent money, you think that those are bad degrees? I wonder at what point do people, like, do different MAGA people, they start thinking like, wait a minute, these people are just saying incredibly stupid shit to us. Like, I agree that in school they need to direct people towards better fields. That's the whole job. Like, I remember when I was younger and I didn't know what I want to do. They're just like, oh, go to college. Don't do that. You know, go to a trade school. Like, they should direct you better. I agree with that. But he's just like, yeah, don't let women go to college because they get dumb degrees like psychology degrees that yield money. That's how you become like social workers, which we need in society, especially for young men who are fucking addicted to drugs. Everybody that's addicted to different things, but we need that more. We need more of that. At what point do you guys just wake up and go, like, this guy's just saying shit just to say it? He's just saying things to say it. He's just saying things. It doesn't matter if he believes in psychology. Psychology is a positive financial field. He's saying they won't be able to get jobs and just get a bunch of student loan debt. It doesn't matter if he believes in it or not. It matters if you can get a job from it, which you can. If you're going to college for psychology, I would say that's a good thing. Psychology is probably one of the better jobs for you to go into. It doesn't make any sense.
Things which are basically useless might as well be basket weaving because the market's so saturated. What I would do is I would do the propaganda from the top down. The
market is saturated in what? In psychology? In general, jobs are disappearing because of AI. What are we talking about?
Opposite way. I'd say, look, why don't you wait? If you wait until you're 28 or 29 and you already have children, then the government will assist with a subsidy for you to go to college. And then you can get your education that way. We'll move resources towards you that direction.
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, hey, just go to school after you're done having kids. Well, you wouldn't do that because you would have kids and you'd need to raise them and you would already be used to whatever structure you have, which is probably the woman staying home. Which, by the way, is impossible because things are too expensive financially. Just another way that we should fix that problem.
And we'll make the student loans interest free at that point, right? So it's like,
you're not saying women shouldn't get an education.
Why?
At all, then you're simply suggesting a restructuring, which
Jillian, are you fucking stupid? He doesn't believe what he's saying. He's saying have women have babies at 18 years old with older men, and then go to school later on. Nobody's going to do that. You know what you're doing in like you're learning how to be an adult in like your teenage years and your early into mid 20s. So if you just learn to push out babies from an older guy at 18 years old, and by the time you're 28 they're 10, and you're the one staying at home and helping raise them in this fantasy scenario because money doesn't exist anymore, our economy's in the shitter, then how the fuck are you gonna go back to school all of a sudden at 28 after you've already learned to be a stay-at-home parent? It doesn't make any sense. Jillian, are you stupid? Why are you falling for this? Why are you falling for this? It doesn't make any sense. It does make sense. You're a fucking idiot.
Totally understand
about how you restructure society around things that make sense instead of structuring society around.
That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any. And Andrew. So just to Andrew's credit, he knows it doesn't make any sense. Just to be absolutely clear, he knows that that's stupid and makes no sense. But what he's doing is he's taunting a child with jingling keys. Jillian is too fucking stupid to understand this. She takes everything he says at face value and she goes, oh, that makes perfect sense. It doesn't make any sense to anybody. Nobody actually believes that makes sense. But he's just saying it. And she's like, oh, you must not be a bad person. Mind you, this is the person that justified why Jillian shouldn't be able to vote just earlier. And she gargled that fucking cum bag down. So incredible.
Feminist ideas.
I think what women end up hearing, Andrew, is they're like, oh, you don't want me to get educated and you just want to control me and you.
Yes, that's exactly what he wants to do.
Want me to be dumb and barefoot and this and that and that.
Yes, that's what he wants. That's why he says that feminism is bad.
50 babies and this and that. And then they just don't like, and I worry that it brings...
Well, I do want them to have like 50 babies. I think that's great. Like, I think that's great. But here's the thing.
What's the ideal color for a baby, Andrew? What do you think about that?
Not every woman is going to have children. I don't think that they're less of a woman because they can't have children. That's silly. But the thing is can we...
Well, you do, but when you say can't have, you mean something that is like biologically doesn't allow you to have women. Doesn't allow you to. You're not saying that if they don't want to, but okay.
At least affirm the propaganda towards the thing that makes society good. So if it's the case that like some women don't want to have kids, okay, no problem. No one's going to force you to have kids. We're not
You're trying to force people to have kids by removing their rights to be able to go to school. If you take away women's ability to go to school and to go to college, then you're telling them all they can do is marry a person and have a baby. You're telling them that's the only thing that they could ever do. So, oh, well, fuck me.
Taliban, that's insane. But what we would say is that if we have the government apparatus for incentives and for propaganda, then what I would say is like, one of the most valuable things you can do for your nation is to get married and have kids and, move towards that as a virtue in society, rather than the idea of the virtuous thing is to immediately go at 18 years old to college, get stuffed by a bunch of dudes and get a degree. That's
stuffed by a bunch of dudes. What is wrong? What is wrong with you? Always, he's so porn brained.
Basically useless. And that's actually what's happening in real time. That's the more likely scenario, is that women are going to college, and a lot of times, they're hooking up with many men and throughout the process of their college career, and they're getting degrees in things that are worthless with massive student loan debt that are going to take them half their life.
Psychology is worthless
to pay off. That is stupid.
It taking you a long time to pay off loans doesn't make them bad inherently. It's the issue is like the job structure. Again, we're facing like an entire new issue because of AI, which they never want to talk about.
And it's backwards, and it makes no sense.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and I don't get it. And so, Crowder's making the kind of the idealist argument to you of like, look at the fundamental unfairness that even from the feminist perspective should be addressed.
Guys, actually, being able to work is unfair to women, is what he's saying right there. He's trying. It's really hard to just like, it's hard to talk to people that like will fall for this stuff. They're too stupid to understand what's happening here.
Right. But more importantly than that, structure society around what men can do and women can do and only they can do. And
what do we talk? We already do that. What are you talking about?
Then you're going to end up with a better society.
I get it. I understand. And but that's so different than like, if you don't want to have kids, okay, then don't have kids. However, can we restructure the incentives in the propaganda? And that actually makes perfect sense too.
No, it doesn't. You're an idiot if you think that.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I completely.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
I understand what you're saying here. Your skincare might be more toxic than your food. So just like choosing healthy food, we got to be more careful about what we put on our body, not just in it. And I've become hyper aware of every product I use, reading labels, researching ingredients, realizing just how many toxic chemicals we let into our daily routine. So check the label on your moisturizer, guys. If it reads like a lab report, swap it. Get rid of that toxic moisturizer for Cow Guy's Tallow Balm. It's a natural hydrating balm with ingredients that you can actually pronounce.
That's true. Young single women are starting to out-earn young men because of the education. Yeah, so that doesn't make any sense what he's saying then. Who would have thought?
It's safe, and it's more effective than conventional alcohol or water-based lotions, and your skin is going to glow. Tallow Balm was actually used for generations before Big Pharma ruined skincare. Use it as a lotion on your hands, your arms, your legs, your face, your lips. Use it for eczema, psoriasis, dry skin, normal skin, just as an everyday moisturizer. Plus, it's an American-made and rancher-owned company in Texas. It's the best tallow balm you can find. So search up cowguys.com to get your tallow balm and get a mini tallow balm free. There's no special code. You get 3 to 4 months of moisturizer for just $34. So search
saying Taliban? What are we saying here?
Cowguys.com to grab your free tallow balm with your order. Why do you think that the propaganda lends itself to, I'm sorry, but like the top podcasts for women are like, they talk about being sexually promiscuous. There's gossip.
Can I do my woman podcast impression?
Like what? Like which ones? Which ones do that? What are the top podcasts for women? Can you give me an example of that?
Oh God, I'm gonna be like, I hate to do this, but I like as raising a daughter.
Yeah. How do you feel? Yeah. But what about? Have you heard of Yes? Yeah. It's shit. They're so insufferable. They're so insufferable. I can't take it. It's too much. I'm like, what? It's just so insufferable.
I'm so ashamed to say that I don't disagree with you. What is that? Do you think? What is the? I just see all of these narratives, and you're bringing up a few of them, but there are so many others. What is behind this propaganda? Do you think? Because I'm sure
no names for those podcasts there. Doesn't Andrew Wilson participate in a male podcast that just like brings OnlyFans girls on for the audience to go look at those OnlyFans girls and jack off to them? Like, I don't really understand it.
Starting to think it's like
do something.
China and Russia and radical Islam. Like, am I losing my mind? Like, I genuinely am starting to think this.
Yeah, like you're not. The thing is that with the ideals of universal suffrage came the ideas of voting blocks, competing interests with each other. So it doesn't really feel like much of a United States, does it?
Oh my God.
No, it doesn't. It feels like
what? Sorry, say that again.
Universal suffrage.
Starting to think this.
Yeah, like you're not. The thing is that With the ideals of universal suffrage came the ideas of voting blocks, competing interests with each other. So it doesn't really feel like.
What? Wait, are you saying that people didn't? What? I have to listen to this again. I think my brain is rotting.
And you're bringing up a few of them, but there are so many others. What is behind this propaganda, do you think? Because I'm starting to think it's like, China and Russia and radical Islam. Like, am I losing my mind? Like, I genuinely am starting to think this.
Yeah, like you're not. The thing is that with the ideals of universal suffrage came the ideas of voting blocks.
So universal suffrage is like feminist movements. We've already established that, yes? At least that would be one of them. Okay.
Competing interests.
Okay, so you're saying that things like feminism brought on competing interests. Is anti-slavery universal suffrage to you? I don't understand. Like, before women had the right to vote, we had disagreements in the United States. We were founded on disagreements in the United States. And a voting structure that allows you to express that through voting, so you can vote in your best interest and other people could do that and we can compromise. What the fuck are you talking about? He's trying to say that we've never had differences in opinion before? Like, I don't understand.
With each other. So it doesn't really feel like much of a United States, does it?
Oh my God.
No, it doesn't. It feels like we're a bunch of.
This fucking moron over here was crying that she can't have productive conversations with liberals. But having productive conversations with liberals would still be a United States. You guys what are you advocating for? You sound like you're advocating for a dictatorship.
Small tribes, and we're all warring for power. And
warring? We're voting.
Yeah. That's actually what we're doing, because we all have we have different blocks of ideas with different interest base of those ideas.
Yeah, that's America.
And we're competing because for the power of the vote. That's what we're competing for. We want.
What you're saying is just like the way that America has been structured since its inception.
Want the biggest block we can get so that our ideas win.
Okay.
And so that our worldview is the one that ends up kind of taking over or becoming the dominant worldview.
And that's bad to you?
The very idea of what it is that universal suffrage did.
He's framing democracy as a negative.
So with all these different worldviews competing, really, is it any wonder that things are so divided and they feel so divisive and they feel like.
So if we had a dictatorship, they wouldn't be divided?
Like, it's very tribal. Well, it feels like that because it is. So you're not crazy. You're not going mad.
Gotcha. Okay. So Andrew Wilson just wants a dictatorship. It's okay. Got it. Understood. But I guess he sounded smart to people with like sub 3-digit IQ. So good for him. I think that's why these people want like an uneducated like society, so that they sound smart to these like fucking morons.
When you see that people are like, what the hell are these people over here thinking? Well, they're thinking within the confines of their personal interest and worldview, and they want power towards that worldview, and they're going to take actions towards that. That's one of the other problems with everybody can just vote. It's always been silly. Pure democracy didn't work inside of Greece. It's never worked anywhere it was tried.
It's working everywhere right now. We don't have a fucking oh my God, he's so dumb. We don't have a pure democracy. We have a democratic republic. We don't vote for things to change. We vote for representatives to vote for things to change. And generally speaking, it's been working pretty well. I would say overall, with its problems, it's generally working, and it's working in other countries as well. We don't even live in a pure democracy. He's just saying things. He's just lying. Pure democracy didn't work in Greece. It's not going to work here either. We're not in a pure democracy. What the fuck are you talking about? That's like nailing a house together and saying glue's not going to work for this house. So we might as well just scrap the idea. Let's just fucking move on. Let's just get the fuck out of here. We might as well. Glue's not going to hold this house together. Well, we're not using glue. Isn't that so interesting? We're using nails. What the fuck?
Democracy expanded is always a terrible idea. We have a republic, checks and balances, a system in place which is designed specifically to check government power, but also check people's power. Right?
What the fuck does this have to do with anything? You're talking about women not being able to vote and people under the age of like 25 not being able to vote. What does this have to do with anything?
It's designed to do that. And
is he just info dumping?
Universal suffrage has kind of created an imbalance to that. And so
what are you talking about? Universal suffrage? What is universal suffrage have to do with anything? What does that have to do? Nothing has changed. He's just info. Dude, he's literally doing what Hassan Parker does. He's just info dumping.
I think we got to retract a lot of that and move backwards towards what worked, because what's going on right now doesn't work.
But it does work, right? We're the most powerful religious country in the entire world, and if anything, voting more towards your idea has harmed the country. We know that's a fact, right? The economy's worse. Everything's worse right now. So what the fuck are you talking about?
What did work? I mean, I just remember life being easier as a kid, but...
Oh, really? You remember life being easier when you had no responsibilities? Thank you for the high IQ play, Jillian.
My mom voted, my dad voted. I mean, would you be...
It was. I don't understand how time works and responsibility works. What?
Okay with, let's say, a competency test to vote? So if you're 18, you have to pass a competency test and knowledge of the issues?
That's a stupid idea to do. For one, Republicans would never win again in the entire world. Number two, you're allowing too much of a restrictive process to see who can and cannot vote. That is not how it should work. How about you guys stop prioritizing the worldview that doesn't prioritize intelligence? How about we do that?
Some way to prove you at least understand what you're voting on?
I'm not even sure a test would be the best idea. I think that there's a multitude of ways to do this.
Let's hear what you have to say, bud.
And all of them have kind of their pros and their cons. And I think that that's the debate which should be had, rather than we should just grant that this is just the way things are, because it's not a good way to live.
Okay.
But some of the ways that you could mitigate this, you could do what's called one household voting.
Got it. Men are the ones that vote. Okay, got it. Jesus Christ! I should just fucking lobotomize myself at this point and just start voting fucking MAGA. I think I might just be happier at this point. I'm fucking a drooling idiot. Holy fuck! Sorry. You want it? So you know how we can solve this? Women can't vote. Oh, okay. Because that's what it is. He wants the world where the household's run by the man, and the man is the one that gets to vote, and it just restricts women from voting. Got it.
And that would just be like married couples can vote, right? And you only get
no men. The men would be the ones voting. You know that's what you mean.
One vote per household. And so the idea there is that a husband's not divided against their wife, right? You have one house voting. That's one way that you could do it.
But
there's problems with that too.
Then I'm going to be like, well, what if I'm not married? Now you're going to force me to get married. It's
that's part of the incentive.
Also, if you rent, are you considered part of a household? Like, how far does this go, Andrew?
Though, right? Part of the incentive is like, well, if you're married, you're probably going to have kids, and those kids are probably going to be much more well-adjusted in society than if you have them unmarried. So that'd be part of like an incentive program too. So that's one.
How does that incentivize you staying with somebody? I don't understand. Wouldn't it incentivize you getting a divorce? Because you'd want to be able to vote, and if you don't vote in the same way that like your husband does, wouldn't you want to leave them and own your own household?
Aspect of a way you can do it. I'm not saying that's the one I advocate for. Just kind of giving you.
Yes, it is. You're saying it for a reason.
Different options which have been presented. Another stakeholder.
Sorry, I forgot. He never actually will pin down any of his real arguments. So what do you think we should do, Andrew? Oh.
You have to actually have property bought and be paying taxes on it. Though I think that's
so if you rent, you don't get to have a say in society. Because somebody bought something that they won't sell, so they forced you to have to rent it. You don't get to have a say in society. Okay, got it.
They're going to tell you they can't, and then it's a trap because it's all set up. So then you're going to hear that one.
Yep, and also that could be the least effective for other reasons that I don't even think are really relevant to the conversation. Okay. But it could be.
Why? Why don't you bring them up?
It could create other issues. One really good proposition from various libertarians that I think has a lot of merit is that people who pay more into the system than they get out of the system should be able to vote, and so.
That's stupid as fuck.
So this creates incentives for people.
I like that. I'm rich. I like that. We live in a time where jobs are being massacred by AI. We have no protections for someone like Amazon to fire 10,000 people and replace it with AI. There's less and less money that exists. You guys have this idea that, again, like welfare is an entitlement. Welfare is not an entitlement. Welfare is a promise that you're not going to be fucking killed if you are a millionaire and a billionaire. Understand that. Things aren't just make money, I make money, I good. Oh, I don't make money, I bad. We live in an entire societal structure where we are constantly seeing the rich lobby to be more rich by destroying the system. And these people, by the way, don't even really pay taxes on their income because they don't take an income. Not these two, billionaires. They don't pay themselves. They inflate the value of their company. And then they go to the bank and they can take a loan against the worth of their company for a low interest rate to avoid their taxes. Okay? So what the fuck are you talking about? This makes no sense. This is something that a dictator supporter would believe. That's literally it. A fucking moron would believe. You're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot. I don't know why I'm taking this so seriously. These people are fucking morons.
people who want
now
to
you're
vote.
speaking my language.
Yeah, so that gives incentives to people.
Now you're speaking my language. If something made me feel good, I like me feel good. People on left make me feel bad. Me don't like. That's the entirety of this, the entire conversation.
Who want to
I like
vote to become
She really likes that if she has money, she should be able to have more of a say than other people. Just so you know, like, I'm not advocating for this, but if we lived in a structure where only the rich people had to say, you remember what happened last time? Rich people were beaten in the streets, hanged, and fucking executed. Like, again, like, you guys are so fucking dumb. There's only so much that, like, poor people will put up with before they don't feel like their lives are worth enough to live. So right now, these fucking buffoons are like, I love the system where only the rich can vote. Every time that happens in history, you die. I don't want you to die, Jillian. You're too fucking stupid to pass a voter competency test, unfortunately, though. You're advocating for your death. Like, they don't think beyond what feels good. This is the ultimate representation of, I feel good, so it is good. These are the feelings over facts, people. They believe in a magical apple curse. This is how they represent themselves. That's literally what it is. Welfare is a promise not to kill the rich. Understand this. Holy fuck, these people are so fucking stupid. They are insanely fucking dumb. Oh my fucking Christ. Okay, good stuff.
Net gain to society
yeah. Mm-hmm.
rather than and what that would do ultimately is it would also cut down social welfare. It would cut down social programs.
We've objectively had a more functioning society since we implemented welfare systems. So it doesn't really matter what you're saying.
It would cut down entitlements, which is
also, when you do welfare systems, you know what welfare does? We like to pretend that we don't understand. Welfare takes money and it centralizes it and gives it to people that are going to spend it. If you take more money from the rich and you give it to a poor person, the rich person holds on to it, the poor person spends it. It creates more jobs and it creates a healthier economy. Again, these people, they're very reductive. They think welfare spending bad, get rid of welfare, but they're stupid. And especially now with technology killing jobs, guess what? Welfare is going to be expanding more than ever before, just so that you know, because without some kind of UBI, we're not going to have a healthy economy of people spending money through the economy. So, like, again, they have like a very surface level understanding. I think Andrew might have a deeper level understanding, but he knows what he's saying, and he has absolutely no problem with like oppressing different groups of people.
which is the largest spending in the United States.
Wow.
So
he openly admitted that he wants a dictatorship. So
look at that option.
I get it.
There's a multitude of ways to
effectively
kind of look at this, where it's like, we're not going to you don't even have to disenfranchise women. That's not even necessary. Women,
we don't even have to disenfranchise women. We just have to disenfranchise all poor people.
by a natural process, will just limit their votes anyway, because they'll be less interested in that from the political perspective. And so, by the way, will many men, or even most men.
Less interested because they won't have money or property to own so that they can vote. What the fuck are we talking about?
The whole idea here, though, is that you want the people in society to vote who have either the best stake towards the thing,
Right.
or they have the education on the thing. And there's only so many different ways you can
And
do
we don't want education for people.
that, where you're kind of narrowing the bracket down to the people who really should be doing it. And it
Okay.
also, that will cut down tribalism drastically.
Yeah. Okay. So that doesn't. Okay. Basically, lick the boot is what I'm hearing. Got it.
So
So-
if I can show that I'm contributing, just hypothetically, right? If I can show
Sure.
that I'm contributing and I'm invested in our country, it doesn't matter. Would you say, okay, at that point, doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, if you're equally giving back to the system more than you take, would there be some sort of equal playing field there, despite having testicles?
Yeah,
or
you
ovaries?
could, sure, you could have the system set up if egalitarianism is still the mode that you want to operate under. Like,
I
I want
I
to
don't
be
think
equal.
you're-
She's not understanding. He's not really necessarily advocating for this. Again, he doesn't hold himself too harshly to an opinion. Yeah, if you wanted to go towards egalitarianism, he's saying you. He always do this. He always do this. He always does this. He always haka shows this. Okay, we love it. Okay,
You're ever going to get Andrew. I
that's-
just don't know.
yeah.
Woman is going to be like, yeah, take my right to vote.
Sure.
There's
No,
no
look,
universe.
I-
It's going to make them more
But I want to let you know.
like, evil
once upon a
patriarch. It's going to
time-
lean into that, though.
Yeah, but once upon a time, it was the opposite. That women said women are never going to want the right to vote, and it was women who said that.
Was that a better
overwhelmingly.
time necessarily, though? I mean, I don't.
Yes.
it's crazy because women got the right to vote and then they wanted to keep it. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This is like a magical world. It's like just because not every single woman like left their house to go fucking protest means that no women wanted it. The women got the right to vote and they wanted to keep it. It didn't get reversed. They didn't vote away their right to vote after they got their right to vote. So what you're saying makes absolutely no fucking sense.
I don't know. I'd have to ask my grandmother who passed away.
100% a better time. Well, I mean, it wasn't better technologically, but but that was due to the confines of it being pre-industrialization, but even post-industrialization, when you still had some limits on voting. Yeah, I would say that at least the spirit of the U.S. was a far more moral place and far less degenerate and horrific place to live in, for sure. The spirit of the U.S. was a far more when you still had some limits on voting. Yeah, I would say that at least the spirit of the U.S. was a far more moral place. And
okay, sorry, I'm just like sitting here.
It wasn't better technologically, but but that was due to the confines of it being pre-industrialization, but even post-industrialization, when you still had some limits on voting. Yeah, I would say that at least the spirit of the U.S. was a far more moral place and far less degenerate and horrific place to live in, for sure.
Okay, so pre-industrialization is our anchor points for when things were more moral, even a little bit post. So he's talking about the early 1800s. Things were more moral in the United States. Okay. Fantastic. So the age of consent in the United States were 10 was 10 or 12 years old at that time. So according to Andrew Wilson, we were a more moral, less degenerate country when 12-year-olds could get raped by adults because that was the age of consent. That's really interesting. Now, let's not talk about all the worker abuse rights and everything that was going back, in the 1800s. But according to Andrew Wilson, we were, as a society, more moral in pre-industrialization around that area, 1820s. Back when black people couldn't vote, by the way, and lynching was appropriate. And apparently, maybe lynching Catholics might have been more appropriate too back then. I just don't understand. He's just saying words. I don't really get it. I mean, I'm not really surprised. Do I think that this was forefront in his mind? No, but I've seen him say that he thinks that, and maybe he would disagree with this. America was founded as a Christian nation. He believes that. He believes America was founded as a Christian nation, and that that was the best time ever for everybody, I guess. And that's when the age of consent was even lower than 10 to 12. So I don't really get it. I don't really know how you feel, what you believe. Most of the time, you won't actually answer questions. You'll just kind of constantly talk like a little baby that shits himself. But fair to say, Andrew Wilson thinks that we were better off when the age of consent was raping children. That's fantastic. I like that, Andrew. Thank you so much. Things must have been a lot better. Definitely not degenerate to molest kids, but according to Wilson, at least. Interesting.
And for sure, when it came to those issues. But that aside, I'm just saying, yes, you can make it completely fair across the board, men and women, if you wanted to. And the idea here is just, hey, if you're a net gain to the system rather than a parasite on the system.
He doesn't understand what net gain means. Paying more money in taxes doesn't make you a net gain to the system. Just to be clear, just inherently. Again, if you take money in and you spend money to live, you are a net gain to the system. He doesn't understand that. He thinks that because somebody has a lot of money in wealth hoards, because they're able to lobby, then they're better. Like, it's so funny. He effectively supports the structure that has destroyed this country. And that is rich people and big corporations lobbying to reduce rights and to restrict things more. And according to him, though, that's when things were better. Just to be absolutely clear. Like, he actively advocates for the thing that has been destroying the country. And it's because he's a rich guy that doesn't really care that rich people ruin the world.
You can go ahead and cast your ballot.
Yeah, he doesn't know what net gain means. He knows what wealthier means.
Or female. I wouldn't have a problem with that system because it limits suffrage. Limits suffrage, and that's my ultimate goal, right? Is to limit suffrage down to prevent the ideas of tribalism and things like this.
Okay.
And also to prevent all the money which comes into politics from third-party systems.
What are you talking about? You're advocating for more money coming from rich people. What?
And NGOs and think tanks and things like this.
These are all things that rich people use to advocate for their empowerment.
And PACs and super PACs, which just pump billions and billions of dollars into the system in order to influence these various voting blocks.
Oh, yeah, we had anti-monopoly laws in the late 1800s, too. There you go.
That's where all that money comes in.
I know.
Okay.
Do you think that there is any universe where that can be reformed? Because...
Yes.
You do? Because without being able...
Dude, she talks like such a fucking weirdo. Do you think... She talks like an abusive fucking mom. Like, that's what she talks like. Oh, do you think that maybe we could... Dude, that's what you talk like, right? Like, that's exactly what you sound like.
Able to reform the campaign finance? I just don't know how you ever... Can I...
You mean overturn Citizens United that Republicans refuse to overturn? I have no fucking idea. Definitely voting for the right is going to help us get rid of these protections that the right refuses to... voting for the right is definitely going to get us to be able to strengthen individualism when they're the ones that are stopping us from doing it. The left wants to ban gerrymandering. The left wants to get rid of Citizens United. Conservatives love that shit. Andrew loves that shit. He wants to go back to when we didn't have monopoly laws.
Ask you this. So many people get really upset when I talk about wanting to regulate big food or big pharma or big insurance. It's like, I don't want big government. I'm like, well, they certainly want big government working for them. They're paying a heck of a lot of money to get big government to work on their behalf.
This just makes it sound so dumb. Yes, Jillian. Andrew is literally advocating for a system that would give more power to these big pharmaceutical companies, and you're just like, yes, I love this idea.
And you think I'm crazy? Like, I want these monster corporations to be regulated. They should not be able to put poison in our food. And it's like, I don't want a nanny state, but everything. But then by the time we're done, everything is going to have pesticide, herbicide, fungicide.
I can't wait for him to say one stupid thing and her to go, oh, yes, Andrew, I believe you.
And fake fat, fake color, fake flavor. I'm looking at this from a health perspective.
Yes, Andrew, yes.
Right? I am seeing all of this evil that these guys are allowed to do for profit. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, you just want a nanny state. What do you see here?
Well, when I break down what big government is mostly set in military and entitlement spending, right? So that's where it all is. Entitlement spending especially.
Why'd you vote for the guy that keeps increasing the military spending then? I don't understand. And you're justifying wars in Iran.
Number one expenditure that we as a country do is on entitlements. The second is military. Both of those. Now, I would argue that, at least from the military perspective, perhaps having a bloated budget there may not be the worst idea for the security of the United States. When you're the global hegemon, having the most powerful, vicious military on planet Earth, I think, is an advantage.
Yeah.
Vicious. Incredible.
But massive entitlement spending is not a huge advantage. And that's
crazy because countries with the welfare state outperform every other country, but okay.
Number one expenditure.
I guess we're not facts or results driven.
If it was the case that you were to draw down on some of the bloating, like what Trump was trying to do with USAID and other programs like this.
Oh, you mean like Doge that failed emphatically? Okay.
I wouldn't have any problem with food regulation because the way that we distribute food now is far different than the locally grown organic things that we used to have in ages past when people did not have these massive stomach issues and all of the various autoimmune system issues, which basically are all coming from the things that they eat.
You don't think that we had these problems? What do you think the issue is? All the preservatives that are getting pumped into things. Who's lobbying against... Who's lobbying to keep those? Oh, McDonald's and every other big food company. Okay, got it.
My wife has talked about this pretty in depth too. She's
crazy.
She's a kind of in the fitness aspect of things like you are. I don't know why the hell she's with me, but that's her thing, right? And I don't think that there's an actual problem there with the idea of regulating out actual poisons. In fact, that's one of the few functions government is supposed to have.
Okay.
Is to take care of the health and welfare of the people of the United States. That's in the Constitution itself.
Okay. Thank you for that. Because sometimes, you speak on more conservative, or when I go on more conservative news channels, it's like, okay, but we don't want a nanny state. We really don't want big government getting involved. I'm thinking this is exactly.
Well, that's small government in comparison to the things that are actually big government.
I get it. I understand.
So if I was gonna point out like big government, I'd be looking at what many other things. Before I would look at whether or not testing in meat factories for listeria was going to be, cut from the budget. Does that mean that there wouldn't be waste, fraud, and abuse in that system? Of course there would be. But there's a lot more waste, fraud, and abuse likely to come.
What fitness thing is she into? What the fuck are you okay, whatever. I'm not even gonna... Okay, got it.
Up in systems where Somalians are pretending that they have daycares and taking in hundreds of millions of dollars of tax-paid dollars to take care of the elderly that they're not even taking care of. And that's happening in multitudes of states now that it's being pointed out. And the thing...
these things have been happening and they've quite literally been fighting against it even before Nick Shirley decided to fucking shit his pants and find absolutely nothing. What are we talking about?
Is like a little bit of oversight there actually would have saved the state, maybe billions of dollars.
There are oversight. What are you talking? There is oversight. What are you talking about?
Right.
So
like everything that Nick Shirley, because he's referencing Nick Shirley indirectly, everything that Nick Shirley references is like, he's like, oh, did you know that there was a lot of fraud in this program a long time ago and it was solved and they did a lawsuit over it? Wow, there must be a problem. Like, it's like, yeah, there is a problem, but they're actively fighting against it. But okay.
When you're talking about the bloating of government and big government, we're talking about Reagan's ideas, of cutting government down. But you're supposed to cut out departments which are useless and worthless and are not doing any. They're not really assisting with
like the Department of Education. Is that useless and worthless?
the health and the welfare of the people. One thing about food intake, and now in the world of vaccines and medicine, where people are getting prescriptions for all sorts of things, that industry, of course, you want to have oversight on for the purposes of regulating the health and welfare of people. Like that's part and parcel of how things ought to operate inside of a nation, right? That's the point. You're going to have some oversight there. Okay. But I do think that you can cut down the size of government in other arenas, and you would save way more money than trying to cut it out of food safety.
Okay, next question. You talk about all the fraud that's been exposed, and we're just looking at, like, now you've got James O'Keefe exposing voter fraud, people being registered to vote in California that are homeless, and NGO workers are like, oh,
what?
And we're just looking at, like, now you've got James O'Keefe exposing voter fraud, people being registered to vote in California that are homeless, and
homeless people being registered to vote is fraud? What?
NGO workers are like, oh, just say you live on Pinocchio Lane. And I'm thinking,
I'm sorry. I just want to be absolutely clear. Do you think homeless people should have the right to vote? Homeless people who are disproportionately veterans? Do you think that they should have the right to vote? You don't have to register your address to a house. Like, there are ways around it because they're still American citizens. So how is that voter fraud? And also, now that we're talking about this, after you went on a whole rampage about how you don't think that poor people or people who don't own houses shouldn't be able to vote, why don't you guys ever care about Trump engaging in fraud? Trump made $3 billion in his first 9 months because he made a fucking meme coin where the top 25 donors had a one-on-one with him. Why is that not fraud to you? Why is it not fraud that he's starting a war in Iran when he has vested interests with other companies, other countries that are anti-Iran, right? Like, I mean, Israel, we went to war with that. I feel like there's maybe fraud there, but let's call that out. Let's actually get rid of that. Why aren't we talking about the UAE donating money or buying money into another one of Trump's meme coins, and then Trump deciding that we can sell AI chips to them when we didn't want to sell AI chips to them because national security dictated that they would sell that to China, and then China would use that to help advance their AI technologies for missile capability specifically to catch up to us. And then we did that, and now we did it, though. Now it's happening. Why is that not fraud? Why is it when the president makes billions of dollars, it's not fraud? But when a homeless guy is registered to vote and doesn't use the right address, that's fraud to you. You guys don't care about fraud. You guys don't care about fraud. Like, it's just a virtue signal. You guys don't care. None of these people talk about the fucking $1 billion jet that Trump gets for fucking making a contract with Qatar, or the business interests that Trump's family gets in Qatar now, or any of these things. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, how many times has insider trading happened? Like an hour before. Somebody went, an hour before our presidency attacked Venezuela, somebody voted it would happen and made a bunch of money. You don't think that's a fraud? You don't think there's insider trading going on there? How many times has that happened before? What's going on with that? What about the Trump administration pressuring Andrew Tate, Romania, to let Andrew Tate out? And then when he came here, Florida went after Tate, and then the administration once again pressured Florida to drop the charges. What's going on? What is fraud to you? Fraud is when homeless people vote, but not when the billionaire Trump, who depicts himself as Jesus Christ, frauds our country. Okay, got it.
You can't make this up. And You've got COVID, you've got Epstein, you got aliens living in the bottom of the ocean.
What the fuck are you talking about?
And now you've got voter fraud that we were all told. My brain can't handle it. What? And what I think ends up happening is
Sorry. Do you think that you made a point there? Sorry.
Now you've got voter fraud that we were COVID, you've got Epstein.
Okay.
Lane,
I want to do something really quick.
You can't make.
So she's saying all these things as if like people said there was a conspiracy originally, but it's actually real. So let's go through this again because that's what she's saying.
Make this up, and you've got COVID.
So she's saying that COVID is real.
You've got Epstein.
Epstein was real.
Got aliens living in the bottom of the ocean.
I don't know what the fuck that's referring to, but she thinks that that's real. There are definitely things at the bottom of the ocean that we haven't seen because we barely can go into the ocean because of our technology.
And now you've got voter fraud that we were all told.
So you're saying all these things are real. You're saying COVID is real. Does she fuck that up on accident? Like, what's going on? We've known that there's voter fraud. It's not widespread enough to have an impact. You guys are making things up in your head.
Brain can't handle it. And what I think ends up happening is we just become
That I can definitely tell. I wouldn't doubt that a lot of these people are just like so intellectual, like they have such a low intellectual capacity that they can't like comprehend or cope with the different things that are going on in the world. So they just like shut down and they decide that everything's a conspiracy and that like they've been lied to or something.
Nice.
Like it's always fucking millionaires that are sitting here and they're talking about how like how much of a fucking victim they are.
Yeah, that's why women shouldn't vote.
Come on, Andrew, come on now.
Come on, Andrew.
See, look, I'm doing my part to educate myself and like not me.
I'm trying so hard to impress you, Andrew. You don't think I'm a person equal to you. I'm gonna still sit here and I'm gonna fucking suck you off.
Go for the right things. But now I feel, and you cover like the conspiracy theory shows a lot, and you talk about how they crash out. But I mean, are they? They're rating bigger than ever.
Oh, because he's talking about Andrew. He probably doesn't like Candace Owens or something.
Sure. I don't. What do we do about this? Because none of us are.
So did Coast to Coast. I mean, Coast to Coast. Do you remember that show with Art Bell?
No.
Do you ever remember Coast to Coast?
No.
I remember Space Coast.
Old radio show called Coast to Coast AM with a guy, very talented jockey who just ran it out of his house named Art Bell. And I think he was in the middle of like the Nevada desert or something. And he did a huge conspiracy podcast over the radio waves every night. And it was widely tuned into. Thing is that people really love that stuff because it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Conspiracies are a lot of fun. Aliens, it's a lot of fun. Bigfoot, it's a lot of fun. Those things are a lot of fun. They really are. And there are legitimate conspiracies that need to be looked at. For instance, I think that there's still residual questions about what happened to John F. Kennedy. I think that's totally fair. Cool. I think that the government has tens of thousands of laws about conspiracy when it comes to you or I, conspiracy to commit racketeering, conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit theft.
Well, these are not the conspiracies in the way that you were just talking about. I don't know why you shifted the conversation. What are you afraid of?
Conspiracy to commit fraud, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They see conspiracies everywhere.
That's wild. I never saw that.
These are two different types of conspiracies. What are we talking about? What? These are these aren't really conspiracies in the same way. One, we're talking about like deep-seated governmental cover-up conspiracies. And now we're talking about like conspiracy to defraud people. Well, these aren't the same thing in any real meaningful capacity.
See them everywhere.
He's just moving from Bigfoot to tax fraud.
Conspiracies prosecuted every single day by the government all over the place. They have thousands upon thousands of laws around conspiracies because people enter in.
Why is your mind blown by this? This doesn't make any sense. This is like if we're talking about like painting a picture and then somebody starts talking about fucking coloring inside the lines with crayons. This isn't the same thing.
To them all the time. The problem is this. The problem is that there's inside of like let's say this isn't even ethics, but maybe philosophy. Cool. There's things called theoretical virtues, right? There's a thing I've been studying recently. And theoretical virtues are just a way for you to take different systems, right, and compare those systems for which one you want to move towards, which system makes the most sense to make an analysis of what's going on, right? And the problem with a lot of what the modern conspiracies are, the old ones used to be way better, in my opinion, is that when I have a system of analysis that I'm utilizing, it's going to fit this criteria. So, for instance, it's going to explain the most things. It's going to have the most amount of descriptive power. It's going to have the most amount of fact-finding power, like little things like that, let's say. There's other words that we would use for it, but that's good enough to kind of explain the concept. And when I compare the system that I would use to the system a conspiracy theorist is using, mine's consistent across all the things I'm looking at, and theirs is only consistent.
No, it's not. Just before, you're talking about how society infantilizes 18-year-olds, and now you're saying 18-year-olds shouldn't vote because they're too stupid. You're not consistent at all with anything.
With the one thing they're looking at. Right. And when you apply it to something else, it totally falls apart. And that's why I get kind of upset when I'm talking to various people and they have pronouncements of crazy ass shit that I just know makes no sense. And I'm able to break it down logically, right? But remember that a key
Which is why, honestly, I am so thankful for you. But
a key portion of conspiracies, it's like, let's not forget.
I know.
They're fun.
I know.
They're fun. And I like listening to them, right? Like I like listening to them too.
I like to listen to them, but then I think at some point you have to safeguard your mind. It starts to become brain rot and it can become dangerous and you can become gullible and nihilistic, and that worries me. And the other thing I'm seeing, and I wonder what you think about this a horseshoe theory where you've got the code pink people and they're starting to sound like the super far right people of like this kind of anti-American narrative.
Jillian, do you have like a brain worm? Are you drinking too much raw milk? The far right is anti-American, but they pretend that they're pro-American. Anti-American is hating immigrants and calling them all dog eaters. But they pretend to be like, they love American. What is the far right to you? We live in an administration, a far right administration. Our president is a fucking rapist who fucking won't release the Epstein files. He's in the Epstein files. He won't release the Epstein files. What is far right to you? What does it look like? Does it look like rolling back protections for everybody but white people? What does far right look like to you? Is it like doing like tariffs that are unjustifiable without like congressional support? Is it going and talking about attacking our allies or reneging on fucking trade deals that Trump did in the first place for allies and destroying our stance in the world? What does far right look like to you? Everything that we're doing is far right. We're trying, like, the Trump is trying to destroy our relationship with other countries so that we can have an isolated country to the detriment of it. Andrew is far right. What the fuck are you talking? What does far right mean to you? Holy fuck, dude. Whatever, dude. These people are trying to put you in like the handmaiden's tale. So if you're the first one that gets fucking handmaiden, Julian, don't fucking be surprised because you're actively advocating for it.
Are you seeing that, or am I just like?
Well, what is
that?
I understand. Well, so inside of party politics in the U.S., the parties were never that far apart, honestly.
Really?
They
really
really weren't. Yeah, they really weren't. They were kind.
What about the time when one party wanted slavery and the other one didn't? Generally speaking, he's true relatively for the most part. That's how things have used to be, right? It's like, oh, I want less taxes. Oh, I want more taxes. It's really not that different. Now it's very different because these people wanted this. Andrew literally wants a dictator in the country.
I mean, a little bit, but they all
happening?
operated under a similar ideal. The ideal was like the Constitution, Americana, post-war consensus. You know, they kind of operated under this idea. At least in my lifetime, your lifetime, your parents' lifetime, probably your grandparents' lifetime. They kind of moved more towards this. So there was some sort of universalism which held it together, and now it's not. It's kind of a race for power from different ideologies. When you see,
you don't think it's always been a race for power? Okay.
Horseshoe theory, you think you went.
I guess back in the day, things are just like perfect. There's no race for power.
So far right, you went left, right?
Yeah.
You went so far left,
Right.
You went right.
Well,
But that's not actually what's happening.
What
when
is
you think
happening?
about the things, well, yeah, when you think about things that are considered far right-wing ideology,
What is happening?
they consider like Nazi Germany to be a far right ideology, right? Or they would
yeah, it is a far right wing ideology. It's nationalism. You want that.
consider.
Wasn't he a socialist? The
But
Democrat?
that's my point. There you go.
Being a socialist doesn't mean that you're left or right. It is a system of government that you weaponize to be abusive to people.
You hit the point, though, right? So
I see.
if that's a far
What do you see?
right ideology, then right wing in their mind, in their worldview, in their prism, is they're thinking in terms of authoritarianism, lack of democracy, lack of republicanism.
Yes. Yes.
This type of thing.
Yes.
Not socialism, though, right?
Uh-huh.
So there could be right wingers who have from their
Yeah.
perspective, an overwhelming authoritarian slant, right?
Okay.
But also want massive social programs for people. And so that wouldn't actually
What's wrong with social programs? We need more social programs as technology kills jobs.
contradict with what the left might consider right-wing ideology to be, or what the right might consider left-wing ideology to be. So, for instance, I wouldn't say that a person who's a progressive stops being a progressive because they want smaller government or less taxes, right? But
Yeah.
I might be more inclined to think that they're moving away from progressivism if they say something like, okay, I don't really want gay marriage. That sounds like it's moving more towards at least the social right? So there's going to be like step-by-step qualifiers for this. I don't think that horseshoe theory really is an overlap. I think that that within the confines of these ideas, there's kind of room for different modes, if that makes sense.
I just find it so strange. Like, you bring up gay marriage. Okay. If I was to take someone like Cenk Uygur, I'm positive he'd be for it. If I was to take someone like Tucker Carlson, I'm positive he'd be against it.
Yeah.
And yet they find common ground and are now like,
What do they find common ground in? Criticism of Israel?
thick as thieves. And we went from literally.
No. That's hang on.
You don't think
Here's
so?
the thing. It's funny.
I mean, I saw
This is
Anna
what's
Kasparian that
interesting.
wants Tucker to be president. I'm like, you hated this guy.
Cenk Uygur. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Cenk Uygur is a cuck. He's one of the first people to, when Trump won, to be like, oh my God, the Democrats are the most evil thing in the world. Like, he's a cuck. He's just looking to maintain an audience by saying like right-wing shit as much as he can while trying to pretend to maintain left-wing whatever fucking ideas so that he can make money. That's all he does. That's why there's an entire market of like Democrats are the worst in the world from fucking liberals. Because, like, yes, Democrats are gay. That is what it comes down to. They've been fucking cringe. They haven't done enough. But that's it. But these guys, they will criticize the left more. And as the Overton window shifts, because people are criticizing the right more because Trump is being dumber and dumber, you're going to see more and more like, oh, see, the right's actually bad. Like, they're cowards. They fight in the position that makes them the most money, not the position that's right or wrong.
So we can agree that both of them are against Israel.
So that's the connective tissue.
Yeah, but what about the reasons though? That's where it gets interesting. So just because you're against a thing,
Jillian, are you this fucking stupid that you don't understand that like there's going to be different motivations for the left? Oh my God, versus the right to be against Israel. Like, the left is generally against Israel because they are fucking genociding people. The right's against Israel because they are Jewish. That is it. That is literally it. There's two factions of conservatives. Ones that hate every race and then ones that hate every race except for Jews. That's it. So conservatives are always going to hate Israel. That is it. or excuse me, the anti-Semitism aspect is rising in more popularity with Nick Fuentes. We've seen this. So are you a dumb idiot moron? Like, I don't understand what's happening. Is she like, why is she having these conversations? She thinks that Tucker Carlson and Cenk Uygur are the same because they both criticize Israel.
Right? Ideologically, it still needs to make sense within the purview of your actual ideology. Cenk Uygur is a left-winger.
Big time.
She's
just saying whatever he says. To be honest with you, maybe the one household vote makes sense with her. Holy fuck, she's dumb.
The way he sees Israel.
Although I can't imagine she would marry somebody intelligent, because he's got to be just as fucking stupid as her to actually think that she's interesting.
He sees Israel as an ethno-nationalist state, which is an oppressor class towards the Palestinians and the Arabs who are around.
Got it. Okay.
And so therefore, this ethno-nationalist state, which is unduly influencing our great democracy and republic and persecuting from the oppressor position the poor Palestinian people, they need to be dealt with. From the Carlson position, though, you have to remember he arrives to the opposition to Israel a completely different way. He doesn't give a shit that Israel's an ethno-nationalist state. He doesn't care. Bothers him not at all. He doesn't give a shit about the oppressed class either.
She has a wife? Oh, she's gay. Wait, dude, this game is making me... I'm going to break my fucking controller. How horrible this game is. I'm literally hitting my butt. Like, it's just... Okay, whatever. She has a wife? She's a lesbian? Dude, she's a loser. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. She's a fucking loser. Holy shit. Dude, like, you deserve to use your rights as the first people. You're actively fucking commingling with people that don't want you to have rights because you're gay and a woman. Oh my god, what a moron. Holy fuck. Like, it's one thing to be a gay conservative woman. I think that can exist. Like, normal conservatism of like, hey, maybe less taxes or whatever. But you're guzzling MAGA. These people don't want you to have rights. And you're like, yo, I love you, Andrew. You're saving the world, she says. She keeps saying Andrew is saving the world. He's so smart and saving the world. The guy that doesn't want you to have rights, you think is saving the world. You're a fucking moron. I don't know. Whatever raw milk she's rubbing on her fucking head that she's like selling as a skin cream is fucking eating her brain alive. This is actually insane. Holy shit.
What he does care about is undue influence in politics and the fact that he's against Christian Zionism. So he has other factors that he's looking at for why it is, maybe they have some agreement on foreign policy,
so they
dealing with Israel, but they arrive at the reasons they oppose it totally differently.
This is my favorite thing, watching this conversation for like an hour so far. She doesn't understand anything that's happening. She just says, I get it, because she's being talked to in a tone that you're supposed to understand, right? Like, what she's doing right now is the same when like somebody asks you a question, like some random stranger says something to you and they're like, hey, it's pretty nice out. And what you hear is, and you're like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what she's doing right now. She doesn't understand a word that he's saying.
Okay, everybody knows that I'm an animal person, a dog person in particular. And
guys, Sundays for Dogs. Buy this dog food. You can eat it too, because our economy's in the shitter.
That's because our dogs are our best friends. But when it comes to their food, we're always forced to compromise between fresh and healthy or easy to store and serve. Well, not anymore, because with Sundays for Dogs, you get both. And your dog gets the best. It's founded by Dr. Tori Waxman, a veterinarian and a mom who got tired of seeing so-called premium dog food, which is full of fillers and synthetics. And she designed Sundays with air-dried real food made in human-grade kitchens using the same ingredients they would use to cook for your family. Everybody's clean. It's packed with real meat, real fruits, real veggies, no weird ingredients, no fillers.
Just air dry yourself.
Compared to kibble or other brands, Sundays invests 50 times more in its ingredients for true premium quality, no cost cutting. And you just scoop and serve. There's no freezer, there's no thawing, there's no prep, there's no mess. Just nutrient-rich food that fuels their happiest, healthiest days.
Amazing.
So make the switch to Sundays. Go right now to sundaysfordogs.com/Jillian50 and get 50% off your first order. Or you can just use the code Jillian50 at checkout. That's 50% off your first order at sundaysfordogs.com/Jillian50, sundaysfordogs.com/Jillian50, or use the code Jillian50 at checkout. What's the result of that, though? So, like, okay, for example, one of the things I said to Crowder is I was like, well, listen, I get where you're coming from. But if someone like Charlie Kirk is a coalition builder, would you be willing to form a coalition with the people who are more moderate to get your agenda largely pushed through? I don't know really where he landed on that. However, I tend to find that like the more moderate people are and have aligned with the people who are more conservative, like yourself or like Steven. But then I find...
Yes, because moderate right now isn't what moderate used to be, right? moderate use, like back in the day, the parties were like, oh, a little bit left, a little bit right. Now the party is like really not even the very left at all. Like universal healthcare is standard in every other successful Western country. We don't have it here, but being on the right is an authoritarian dictator who's like Wilson keeps supporting that. Keeps saying that he supports like basically a dictatorship in America. Like that's what his entire fucking thing is. So I mean, like it's between like regular left and far right at this point.
Find that the people who are more so all the way out there, I guess what you're saying is kind of meet on these issues, even though they're coming from different worldviews.
Right. And so it's when you get the intersection of the worldview that it gets really interesting.
Okay.
For instance, Carlson, even if Carlson and Schenck agree on, some foreign policy prescription towards Israel, because they view it as some kind of threat for completely different reasons, the dangerous aspect to that is even if they unite on that particular front against that particular issue, is that whatever coalition they build with each other to do so is going to instantly begin destroying each other the second this issue is out of the way. It's not a real coalition because there's no value overlap, none. And so Crowder's...
Well, that's basically like what we were talking about before. The anti-Jew MAGA versus the pro-Jew MAGA. It's pretty much the same shit.
Position is very similar to mine. He understands that there needs to be value overlap in a coalition. And if there isn't, then all that's going to happen is you're going to build something that's going to implode, destroy itself, maybe cause more damage than if you hadn't built it in the first place. So a guy like Crowder's not going to get in bed with anybody who he thinks is going to have any kind of immoral overlap inside of a coalition he's trying to build. And I don't blame the guy.
I understand what you're saying.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I guess it makes me sad because I know.
What are you guys talking about? Like what you're saying doesn't make any sense whatsoever. One of the biggest criticisms on the left is that there's too much purity. There's too much purity culture. There's too much purity testing, and the right doesn't have that problem. The right is okay with pedophiles. So what you're saying isn't actually true whatsoever. It's literally happening. Conservatives are okay with rapists and pedophiles. Steven Crowder abuses his wife. Or abused her, I guess, before their whole divorce shit. So obviously, well, although I guess that's not really a compromise. I think that Wilson's okay with abuse. So okay.
That when I look at I know that feelings don't.
At least that's what he's advocating for with his like societal structure.
Matter. I appreciate that, but when
feelings matter in politics.
Well, when I look at someone like yourself, and I look at someone like Crowder, I largely agree with you. And then we come to an impasse, obviously, because I'm gay and I know how you guys feel about all of this. And would that mean like we could never be allies on certain issues? Like, what does that mean? Is it's like, okay, Jillian, like I'll speak to you civilly and we can debate these things as human beings because we live in the same country? Or could it be like, listen, we'll ally on the things we agree with, on the things we don't agree with, if the day comes where we go to battle over these things, obviously it would be civil and respectful and may the best man/woman/American win on the issue. But like, where does that leave us? Because I got to tell you, Andrew, like I like you a ton. And I feel like there's this elephant in the room where I know that what I stand for as a person goes against what you believe in. And I can't change that. I wouldn't change it. I love my wife. I love my family. Where does that leave someone like, and it's okay. You can tell me the truth. If it's like, yeah, Jill, I just never would, whatever. That's okay. And that's life. But where does that leave us?
Well, I'll explain the best way that I can.
Okay, I'll take it. Hit me with it.
I've thought about this issue quite a bit. So the best way for me to draw the parallel is in the religious element. So I'm an Orthodox Christian. And I'm not a Roman Catholic, though from the onlooker, Protestant onlooker, they seem very similar.
Okay.
But most of the nation's not Catholic or Orthodox, it's Protestant. And I need their help. I need their help to abolish abortion. I need their help on the religious front to do all sorts of other abolishments that I need, which are moral abolishments, right? That I consider moral imperatives. And so there's universals there, even though there's distinctions in the theology, which are paramount distinctions, by the way, that people have killed each other over in the past. That I understand that I can unite with them in this limited way in order to not pray with them or commune with them, but unite with them politically towards a universal moral issue, right? Because the overlap is on the universals. We still believe in the Ten Commandments together. We still believe in these things together. So because of that,
I like this conversation only in the sense that like what we're talking about right now is like, yeah, you know what? We have a situation where there's an acknowledgement that there are a bunch of different types of religious people in the United States, even the Christians themselves, even Catholics. There's a bunch of them, and we kind of exist in a time where like every Catholic is like the same for the most part. They don't really have contentions with each other because they have other contentions with like Islamic people or I guess black people or whatever, and women and gay people and stuff, right? So what Wilson is saying is, if once we roll back the country to this time where things are super regressive, I'm going to be able to focus on why I hate Protestant people again. But right now I can't do that because I need their help destroying the rights of gay people and women. That is the effective communication that's happening here. And so it's so interesting the way that it's just very interesting. I just find it very interesting. That's it.
There's enough moral overlap there where I feel no issues at all uniting with them against these massive political issues of our time.
Okay.
But when it comes to but the caveat is like,
I understand.
When it comes to forming a political issue with, let's say, homosexuals or things like this, then we end up in the non-overlap morality, where do we come in and find you could vote on an issue with me, right? Mm-hmm. Sure. And I'm not going to stop you. I could be like, sure, go vote the same way I'm voting. That's great.
Yeah, sure. Vote against your best interest. That's what he's actually saying.
But I also understand intuitively that if there's an organization which is built around ideologies, and my ideology is presenting that, look, as an Orthodox Christian, I'm going to always definitely oppose and have opposition to gay marriage. Now, does that mean that I'm going to say that there can't be civil unions or things that you guys can call marriage as long as you just don't have to recognize them? That may be some sort of political compromise.
Could you get around the rights piece? It's the rights piece because I don't need to get married in someone's church. It's the fact I want to leave my money to my family. If I'm dying,
why do you need to be married to do any of that?
Because marriage comes with 1,000+ rights. You can't just okay. I'll give you an example.
But wouldn't that just mean change the laws so that you don't need marriage to accommodate the things you're trying to accommodate?
That would be honestly. That really is, for me personally, it's the ability to leave my wife the money that we have built.
I hope that this happens. I hope it happens. It's not going to negatively impact me. I hope that this happens, and then you realize that whatever sweet nothings he's saying to you is obviously just a lie to get you to vote in his way. Yeah, I hate gay people a lot, and I don't want them to have rights. But yeah, sure. If we roll back the rights, and you're a woman that can't vote in any capacity, and being gay married is banned. Yeah, we'll do a different type of a gay marriage. They want to go back to the time where it was okay to beat the shit out of gay people in the street, and the cops didn't do anything about it. Do you think that there's a magical world we live in where a group of people gets fewer rights but isn't treated in society like they have fewer rights? Is that you live in a fantasy world? You're a fucking moron. I hope you get what you want, Jillian. I don't understand. You're so upset by fucking TikTok feminism and fucking body positivity that says obese is a slur, that you're willing to align with a party that doesn't want you to be able to vote or be able to get married. They treat you like a disgusting piece of shit. They treat you the way that your show used to treat fat people, saying if you don't lose 5 pounds a week and starve yourself, then you're actually a fucking worthless human being. So yeah, I hope you get what you want, Jillian. Because at the end of the day, me being a fat white guy married to a fucking straight woman, because I'm also straight. Weird how that works. Not always, though. Andrew Wilson's probably closeted gay, but I'm fine. You'll be fucked. Good luck to you, girl. Good luck to you. Have fun. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit.
Without her losing half of it because we lost that right.
Because of an inheritance tax?
Yes. Or, for example...
But civil unions covered that.
No, they had to be federally recognized. Or, for example...
But the feds can recognize a civil union.
Okay, but then if we could form such an alliance where I was I appreciate your religion is sacred. I appreciate, that you... I could get... If we needed to come to terms on this, I could say to you, I can't protect my family without the following rights. For example, what if I was a total scumbag? Matt Walsh and I talked about this, and I decided I wasn't going to pay to support my kids. I'm obligated now. Under the law, I'm obligated to pay child support, but if it wasn't recognized, I could just be a weasel and a scumbag.
You would still have to pay child support.
No, you can literally walk away from your obligations because you have I have adopted kids.
How can you walk away? If I have a kid out of wedlock, I can't just walk away and not pay child
biologically
support.
Mine.
I see.
Yeah,
I understand.
They're not biologically mine, so I could be a weasel and a scumbag. Whereas now it's you have an obligation. So
But you've adopted them though, so you have that obligation.
No, I think this is.
Doesn't that convolute the system more than it helps? For instance, I'm thinking this through kind of logically, and I understand that this is personalized.
I think my favorite part about this is Andrew Wilson's what if we just did a thing called separate but equal? What if we had 2 different things? There was marriage and civil unions. Separate but equal. That worked really well in the country. Do you remember when we had separate but equal bathrooms and water fountains? Historically, it always goes really well for people getting access to the same rights when we do separate but equal.
And so, because it's personalized, it's going to be.
It's personal for you too, which is why I understand where you're coming from.
But I want to make sure. But I just want to make sure to be clear. I'm just going to kind of do a logical deduction from my view, from the view of the Christian, right? Fundamentally, the coalition that we on the right have built is around the ideas of Christianity as a foundation. If somebody's advocating for the ideas of marriage and to live openly in sin and have it recognized, that's always going to be oppositional to our morality. So whether or not it is the case that we compromise politically and allow you to call this thing what it is, it's still going to always be in the fundamental category of you're trying to promote degeneracy from our view.
I understand.
Or what we would consider evil, right?
Bro, he's saying that you were a degenerate, evil person, Jillian. Why do you support this guy? I'm so confused.
Which would be the
Is it a fetish? Is it a fetish? Like, does this conservative lesbian have a fetish to be used and abused by men? Is that the only time she can fucking come? Like, what's happening?
Of degeneracy.
If no one's hurt, though. If it's two consensual adults,
it doesn't matter. He hates gay people, Jillian. You fucking moron. What is wrong with you? Are you dumb? Oh wait, yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I'll show you. I'll show you why that's not actually rational.
That's not rational. But by the way, my magical apple curse book is super rational. I'm going to go to church and cannibalize, metaphorically, the body and blood of my Savior that was put on this earth by God to die for the sins God created. This makes a lot of sense to me. A lot of this makes a lot of sense to me. I think it makes a lot of sense to me.
If somebody is dead from a secular view, why can't you have sex with a dead body?
I know you don't need consent. Like, if your brother
I don't know, Andrew. I think maybe it's because gay people are alive.
and sister, would you? But okay, but see, this is where I.
But I mean,
he forgot that gay people are alive.
How do you need consent? Is the question. You don't, right? But you would still oppose it.
But see, I don't think for me,
you can't get consent. It's a dead body.
This is where I kind of become more of that liberal kind of person, where it's like, listen, if you're not hurting anyone, this kind of comes down to that Dave Smith conversation.
I'm so fucking confused. We just moved on from that. Dead bodies. Hey, but gay people are the same as fucking a corpse, by the way. Oh, okay. Good job, Andrew. Thank you.
Where you're like, do you own yourself, Dave? And I was trying to wrap my head around what you were saying, because I just thought, well, yeah, aren't I making decisions for myself? Like, if I am responsible for me, I'm responsible for my feelings, I'm responsible for my behaviors. Where it crosses over is when what I think is better for me hurts someone else. But I would say, why is my life, or the life with my family, how is that evil if it hurts no one? And it's just...
Well,
he doesn't have an actual rational answer. He's just going to say the Bible told me.
The issue here is quantification. So when people say this, it sounds good to the ear.
Because it makes sense.
Why can't I just do what I want as long as it's not hurting anybody else? The problem.
Yes.
Like, how do you quantify that, though?
Well, if you don't have a mental disorder, you can quantify that very easily. I should be able to do anything as long as it doesn't infringe on other people. That is the foundation of our society. You're as free as you can be without harming other people. That is generally the way that we've constructed.
Every action that you take in the world has an effect. It has an effect on the environment around you. It has.
Are you serious? Thanks, Andrew.
Effect on the people that you come into contact with.
Really?
It has an effect on, and it's impossible to quantify completely its effect. So the reason that we're not like...
Gotcha. So now you're creating a situation where you cannot quantify anything, but you can still hate gay people. Okay.
Well, you can, if you're like a shitbag person, we're going to have an interpersonal relationship with you, is because we intuitively understand the quantification problem, which is like, I don't know how many like immoral steps a shitbag person has taken, only that the effects of everything that they've done have been bad for basically everybody around them. Now, I'm not making this comparison to say that homosexuals are doing immoral actions all the time. That's not my point. My point is just...
What point are you making then? You're just yapping.
That it's impossible to create the quantification for you to even have the...
he's just talking. He's no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
Of like necessary grounding to say, hey, I'm not hurting anybody else. Well, I mean, how do you know that? For instance, the emotional state of Christians, there's just...
His whole argument here is like, hey, I'm gay, I'm with a consensual adult. How am I hurting anybody else? Well, you don't know that. I can't quantify that you are or not, but I don't know, and you don't know. We just don't know, so we just didn't do it. That's his whole argument. It's great.
Like millions upon millions of them. You're talking about most of the United States. If their emotional state is driven to demoralization because their institution is now being, made to be a laughingstock and this kind of thing, or they feel like there's an attack on their actual value structure because they believe that they are the ones who are in charge of marriage because it's a religious institution. How do you quantify the effect of their pain? How do you quantify the effect of what it is that they actually feel like?
I don't care. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't fucking care that a religious person gets upset that gay people can get married. I don't have to care about that because it's not founded in anything logical or rational. It's founded in irrationality. I don't have to care about irrational things.
How do you know you're not actually hurting these people? It's just that
if your ethical structure centralizes around harming other people to make you feel comfortable, I don't care about you. There you go.
The idea always comes down to like, but I'm not doing anything wrong. It's like, well, but you're not really quantifying it the right way, because there's no way for you to do that. There's no metric to do that. And so the idea of self-ownership is this way, right? It's like, you own yourself. Why? Because you say so. What if I say I own you? What makes that incorrect? How do you point to me and say, no, that's not true? It's like, well, I got the leash.
Well, religion justifies slavery, especially since you've downplayed slavery and said it's just prisoner of war, even though it's not, or prisoners of war, which it's not. So I don't really understand the point that you're trying to make here, because you support owning other people.
Right. I got the whip.
You want men to support, own women, and you think that they should be thankful for not getting raped. So I don't really understand.
I've got the this, I've got the that. What makes it true that you own you and not me, other than force at that point, right? So that's basically what I reduced it to with Dave, was that ownership is just I have thing plus force. If we're talking about this particular instance,
what does that have to do with anything? He always goes back to force doctrine, which he historically uses to talk about why women should be thankful to men for not raping them. So I don't really understand what we're talking about here. None of this matters.
As we're talking about,
he's just rambling. He's rambling. Holy fuck.
Morality itself. Every step that you take, from my perspective, that leads more people towards the ideas, the horrible ideas of what I would consider a degenerate lifestyle.
But you don't know if it's horrible other than the Bible says so. So you have no actual factual foundation for anything you're saying.
Or an immoral lifestyle. I'm going to have an opposition to it, because those things are quantified externally, whether you're directly doing something to me or not. It's still a problem with
this yapping
societal view. And that's why building those coalitions is not a particularly good idea. Maybe limited voting with a person could be.
Okay. What if somebody said to a person who's Christian, well, your worldview hurts me. I'm a Jew. I'm a Muslim. I'm a Buddhist. How dare you think that your worldview is superior? And what makes you think that you have the right to tell me how to live? And how do I know that your God is the one true God? Like, because I just feel like we could constantly flip the script.
You have made the best point in the world for why the ideas of the progressive left are so insane.
How? She's just saying that you have the same disagreements with other people. And so, okay.
You're right. There's a massive division between people groups and cultures and distinctions and ideologies, and they don't all mix. And so throwing them all together and mixing them all together as though that's not going to create massive conflict is absolutely insane. You're right.
But we've been functioning I mean, like, not for nothing, but like America is the greatest country in the whole world, or was before Trump. And we've been functioning just fine. So what you're saying doesn't really manifest it. So.
Right. From your view, just perhaps even me just saying, this is an immoral lifestyle is immoral. That could be true from your view. Like, that could be an immoral
how you
action.
see it. That's the thing, is like, I don't see it the way you see it.
I know.
But I understand how you see it.
Why? Why do you need to understand how somebody who believes in a magical apple cars fucking hates gay people based on that fucking that idea? I don't understand. And I just say this, and the only reason I say such disrespectful things about his religion is because he says disrespectful things about gay people. He likes to say it nicely, but just because you hear nice words doesn't make it nice. Why? Like, I don't understand though. Like, this guy, like, nobody ever says this. Like, dude, you don't. There's no logic behind your beliefs. You believe in a dated book that talks about how you need to ritualistically, like metaphorically, cannibalize your savior that was put on this earth to die for the sins that his dad created. Like, he decided to create those sins and those desires. That sounds insane. I don't understand like what we're talking about here. Okay.
And I respect that this is your belief system. This is how you were raised. And I wouldn't try to change your opinion about it.
I would. I don't respect it at all. And you should be laughed at.
I just also know that for me, that wouldn't be the case. And then I know that the next step someone would take is, well, what makes you right? What about these guys? What about the Buddhists? What about the... And I don't know. That's the kind of shame of it, is I do understand what you're saying, but then it's like you have this fundamental impasse. So, and I respect your opinion. I just, I would obviously live my life hoping.
Or maybe I can just kind of give the best rational argument that I can.
He can't, because he doesn't have a rational thought process.
But now that we understand like the impasse here is, why would I ever bother tailoring things in society towards the need of such a small percentile of society? Like,
what does that mean? Gay people?
To tailor all the laws, and I'm going to tailor all the normative authority. I'm going to tailor all the normative moral actions in society towards the majority. And the majority of people are always going to be heteronormative, right? And because that's the case.
This doesn't make any sense in any capacity. You don't lose anything by making laws that allow gay people to get married. He's just talking to talk at this point. He sounds nice. It sounds nice to a fucking moron. So that's pretty much what it is.
I'm not going to associate government resources towards some, like small fringe minority. That's a progressive.
We don't have to do that.
mindset. My mindset's the opposite. I'm like, well, who cares? I mean, if you want to live that way, no one's going to kick in your door. The Gestapo's not going to drag you to jail. Nobody's talking about doing anything like that. But at the same time,
it's funny how it's like, oh, progressive mindset is bad. Progressive mindset has given us like every single technological achievement ever. Progressive progress. That's great.
There's not going to be any glorification. There's not going to be any funding. There's not going to be any teaching of it. There's not going to be any. Why does there need to be? Why wouldn't I move society towards what I would consider the greater virtue?
I wouldn't even want there to be
family
teaching of that.
But that's my point, right? It's like, if truly, if we could go back to how kind of the gays in the 80s and the 70s used to think on this, they used to be like, look, we just want to be able to do what we want without going to jail, right? We just don't want to be going to jail because.
But you want to make it illegal to be gay. I don't understand.
Of who it is that we care. People had a bigger, much more sympathetic ear to that. That was something that made a lot more sense.
That's why they had rights that gave people equal rights. Wait, when did they have a more sympathetic ear to that? They didn't make, gay marriage wasn't legalized until like fucking 2007 or something. Or 2017, whatever the fuck it was. One of those. It's one of those. I think it's 2017, actually.
So people are like, 16? Yeah, we're not going to, you can't throw people in jail for this. It's crazy. It's like throwing people in jail for masturbating. Like, you're not going to do that. Right?
Bro, you thought that, dude, this, what he's saying, he's just lying. He doesn't believe what, oh, people were so much nicer back then. Like, we should just like let gay people exist. They just can't get married. You were saying that society was better culturally and less degenerate back in like the early 1800s when it was legal to marry 12-year-old girls. Back then, it was okay to beat the shit out of gay people. You're just saying things that you don't actually believe. He's just talking to talk. He doesn't believe what he's saying.
Right. But the thing is it becomes a lot less appealing to people over time when it's like, well, now we're going to have glorification. Now we're going to have parades. Now we're going to have flags. Now we're going to have ideologies built.
Just don't go to the fucking parade, dude.
Around this. And then it's like, well, then that means if we give you an inch, you take a mile, right?
What the fuck are you talking about? Because they make a flag about it? Oh, the gay people, they have a flag and they have a fun time at a parade. Oh, God. Who gives a shit? Just don't go to the fucking parade. You're not forced to watch it. What the hell are you talking about?
Okay. I hear you on the teachings and the...
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wouldn't by that logic mean that you wouldn't want civil unions because that's giving an inch? But you said before you'd be for civil unions? I don't understand.
I hear you on the teachings and the ideology and all of that. The fight that I would make is for the rights, and it's the rights to protect my family. It's the rights to have power of attorney. It's the right to be in the room when someone's dying. It's the right to leave them your money without...
How many cigarettes is this guy going to fucking smoke?
Losing half of it. It's all of that. But I do understand the way you see it. And I obviously, I'm going to disagree with you.
But let me ask you this. Why don't I have a right to take all that away?
Fuck, dude. It's just like talking to a toddler. It's like a baby. Why? Well, hey, you shouldn't take other people's stuff. Well, why? I should be able to. I have a right. That's what it is. Like talking to a toddler. It's because you're taking away the agency and autonomy away from another person, and that's a bad thing. Well, why is it bad? What tells you it's bad? I believe in the Bible. I believe in the Bible. The Bible tells me that I can fucking enslave people. Like, what's the logic here, Andrew? He just keeps saying, well, what if I did something fucking stupid? Well, what if I don't like that you want to be treated as a person? Oh, wow, you fucking owned me. That's called being a entitled little baby. It's called being a toddler.
Well, like, why wouldn't I have the right to take all your religion? But then don't we have to kind of, as civilized human beings, I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but like...
We have to create dominant blocks of power to enforce our ideologies as human beings. That's what we do. And so if it's the case that you assign yourself an arbitrary made-up right, that you have a right to marry a woman... Why can't I assign
arbitrary made up right? Everything is arbitrary and made up. Wilson, we're people.
An arbitrary.
We could all fucking die tomorrow and the world would still move on. Okay, we're supposed to exist in a way that helps people succeed.
Made up right that I can take that right away. Like that's the whole problem with the foundation of like we have rights. It's like no, you just have shit you make up and assign it to yourself. Where do these rights?
That's what you have as well.
Come from? Are they over there? Are they over here? Are they up there? Like they don't exist in material reality. We make this shit up.
He wouldn't say where. He would just say the Bible. But there's no actual like logical foundation on it. It's a spiritual book that helps people cope with certain things that are difficult to cope with, like death and loss and oppression. And for other people, it's a way to try to control other people. So, I mean, okay. And which one do you think Andrew identifies with?
But are you saying we make it up across the board?
Mm-hmm.
No, he thinks that his is real and it's a God-given right. I actually don't think that he's a real Christian. I think that he just says that he is because he likes the things that the Bible says because it's hateful or the way that he interprets it.
Yeah. When you think about it, what is a right? A right is some sort of entitlement that we assign ourselves that we then utilize force in order to maintain.
Wow.
So,
wow. Wow. It's just like yes, we already know that. This is what I'm talking about, dude. Every single time. Like, you get caught in the weeds of having to define things that nobody fucking... We understand what a right is, and we understand that in order to have rights, we have to enforce them through different laws and protocols and whatever. And it's just like, thanks for telling us, hey, what's a right? I don't know. What's the color orange? Who gives a fuck? We already know what it is. We don't have to describe it. But we have to with Andrew, because half of his entire conversation is over-describing things that nobody needs to describe whatsoever. That's literally all it is. It's fucking insane.
So, for instance, black people have a right to go to school with white people. We agree on that, right? But once upon a time, that was not the case. And when the law changed for that, they had to send in the National Guard in order to enforce that right with force.
Okay. And is that a good or a bad thing to you, bud?
So when you make an appeal to a right, when you say I have a right to do this, you're making an appeal to force. What you're saying is that the government can utilize force in order to institute that this is going to be the case on...
Who cares? Why does that matter?
...my behalf. And so if that's the case, what we're really arguing about is who gets to have the force. Okay. And I think that the Christians should have the force. And you think that, well, no, I think that homosexuals ought to be able to have some force here.
And you know what? I don't think...
At least in this instance.
Well, this is where I become the liberal, where I'm like, I don't see why we have to have force over each other if we're living in ways that make us happy, that don't hurt each other. Now, I understand you're saying, well, you're like...
Because there's people like Andrew who want to oppress different people, different groups of people, because a book told him to. That's why, Jillian. And that's what he's saying. You would say, yes, you should be forced to accept me in society.
If Sal hurts me.
Fuck.
Well, I'm just saying that rights themselves don't exist without force. Otherwise, what are they? Like, if you had a right to remain silent, but police could just come in and, like, make you talk, right? Then
the force in that instance would be that you'd be able to sue them.
The right's useless, right? It's the right's only as useful as it's enforced. It's the same thing with, any right you point to. If it's not enforced with the power of government arms, then it's useless. It's worthless. So when you say that you think I have a right to a thing, what you're saying is I believe that force should be used on behalf of me to make sure I can do this thing. That's what we're really talking about when it comes to rights. And that's why really what we're always talking about in these parallels with the progressive mindset is who gets to have the force. And so since I know that that's what we're talking about, I'm like, well, us, right? I want my side to have the force.
I understand.
You know? And you're like, well, but I want my rights also enforced. And it's like, okay, I get it, but
they can't coexist.
Well,
I would say they can coexist. My thing is they could coexist because I just don't see the overlap. They can coexist,
but like, why would marriage is a necessity for coexistence? That's one. And then the second problem there is like, if
marriage is not a necessity for coexistence. I think marriage is a good idea, but you don't need to necessarily be married. I do think it's a better idea, generally speaking, but you don't necessarily need it.
Made a compromise where it wasn't marriage or something like this, you're not going to be able to coexist within the idea of saying, hey, this is completely fine. This is an okay lifestyle. All that's just, hunky-dory. Don't consider it immoral. That's not going to be able to coexist with another person's ideology of this is an immoral lifestyle, this type of thing.
Well, gay people can get married though, right? So like, oh, we need marriage to exist. Okay, cool. Gay people can get married. Okay, but wait, actually, I get too horny when I see two guys kissing.
Those two things can't square. It's P and not P. It's a performative contradiction. I can't pretend this is moral and not moral at the same time, and neither can you. You can't pretend what you're doing is immoral and what I'm doing is moral, or vice versa, because we're in diametric disagreement on what the thing is, the moral claim that we're making. We're just in diametric opposition. So if that's the case, no, they can't coexist. They, at least not that way, not morally. They can coexist in the same way if like nobody's going to come in and like kick your door open and send you to jail or imprison you or anything. Nothing bad's going to happen to you over that. But they might use government force to make sure that you're not getting married. But again, you're just basically assigning yourself an arbitrary right anyway. So I don't see why it's improper for the Christian side to be like, no.
I would actually, if I don't want to take a...
Everybody's assigning themselves arbitrary rights. But again, he won't really talk about where his rights come from because he believes in the Bible, and it's very easy to kind of like deconstruct that and just like, well, it's not really, there's no facts to that. And then he has nothing else to say because he's kind of like fucking cucked at that point. So he will always stay away from that. I think of that.
Too much of your time, but I would love to look at this a little bit deeper if that's okay with you. I understand how you feel.
It's dumb as shit.
I think there's maybe more for us to litigate if you would be okay with it. Okay, so sure. I'm going to air part 1 of this.
Okay.
And I look forward to part 2.
Me too.
And whether you like it or not.
I don't. Holy fuck, this is like actual brain rot.
I really like you. And while we don't agree on everything, I appreciate you coming to talk with me, and I appreciate the way you see the world, and I appreciate the respectful conversation as well.
Anytime. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. I mean, again, like, it's very interesting that you're saying the conversation was respectful when he said he doesn't think that you deserve equal rights as a human being. And I think that this really is, it just proves that people like MAGA is okay. Like, it is respectful, has nothing to do with like words or actions. It has to do with if you talk in a fucking baby's voice. So if you're like, I don't think you deserve rights, fuck you, hope you die, that's actually really respectful to Jillian Michaels. Because I said it like a baby would hear it. And so you could tell a baby to go fuck itself, but if you say it in a cute baby voice, it's actually pretty chill, and it's actually not a mean thing to do to a baby. So I could really appreciate that, Jillian. Thank you so much for your horrible fucking dog shit opinion. You are actively trying to create a world where you would be executed, whether it's because you're gay, or it's because you're a woman, or it's because you're a millionaire that doesn't want other people to have rights. You're looking for somebody to oppress you as a person fundamentally, and then you'll turn around and say, oh no, I'm a victim. You are so bored, and you are so much not a victim, that you're trying to create a world where you do become a victim. It's almost like, it's actually insane. It's actually almost impressive. So
well, I hope you guys enjoyed part 1, and I'm looking forward to part 2. Do me a favor and drop in the comments exactly what you'd like to see us talk about in our second conversation. And as always, please like, share, comment, subscribe, because it helps a ton with the algorithm.
No.